Crusher!
Don't believe in aliens, they're never going to land. Don't believe in cryptids that leave footprints in the sand. Don't believe in spirits appearing from the dead. The only demons out there are living in your head. Dream crusher, the Lord of unbelief. If you can't prove it, no one can get ready for the grave. Dedicated skeptic, we all know what that means. He's lurking in the shadows and crushing on your dreams. Dream crusher, the Lord of unbelief. If you can't prove it, no one can get ready for the grave. Dedicated skeptic, we all know what that means.
Hello, everyone. It's Friday night.
Happy Friday!
Donna's here. Oh, hello. It's good to see everyone. Happy to be here because it is my show. We wouldn't be here if I wasn't here. Well, Donna might.
Yeah,
Donna would just take over. Yeah. So we're gonna go over the rules tonight. We're gonna say hi to some people. Let's say hi to people first.
Okay.
Let's just go through. I'm gonna try.
Who's backwards this time?
I'm playing air drums, and I'm like, anyway. All right, I'll go backwards. So, hello, Pinky. Alphaba was framed. Amy's here. Blast Rights. Wandering Wenchy. Leanne K. Lucas Parazone. That's a mouthful, but good to see you. Dave Schumacher. A fellow tortured soul is in the house. John without an H. Michael has questions. That's cool. Mary Jane Gin Juice. This is screwing me up going backwards. I don't remember what said I do. We got Betty Q. Aaron Colgrove. We got, I'm going through, I'm looking, Diana Fodor's in the house. Devon Zipper. What's up? Pam Spencer is in the house. Miss B. Haven. Ooh, I like that. That was clever. Claire from P&C Paranormal. Woohoo! Hello, Claire. How you doing? Richard's in the house. Mysteries Untold by Michael Burkeen. Good to see you, buddy. Cat Bat. That's what I'm going to call you because you got a little bat next to your name.
We have Cat Mac.
And Cat Mac. Date night.
So we have
He's in the house.
Cat
Bat. We got there's a bad joke in there somewhere. Let's see. Hey, there's Kenny Biddle. I like that guy. He's good. Obscure reference man. It's in the house. Hello, Tim. Daniel Reed's here. Good to see you, buddy. I'll be seeing him next weekend.
Yeah, Daniel, what are you going to be speaking about?
Yeah, tell us what you're speaking about because I looked up the schedule and I couldn't. It didn't look like they had any like titles for the speakers. So, am I getting everyone? Am I missing? I know I'm missing people. Michael Smorto is in the house. Jade Kitten's in the house. I think I got almost everyone. If I missed you,
Experiencing the strange.
oh,
Daniel Reed.
oh, experiencing the strange. Well, he would know. Are you going to talk about your parking?
Oh, he brings it up every time.
I do. Oh, all right. Whew, I'm all sweaty. Look at this because
I know, that's good.
I was playing the drums badly before the show. Did I just jump? That was weird. You see, it looked like I glitched a little bit. Must be in the Matrix. Shh. All right, so let's go over the rules because we need rules. All right. Rule number 1 is that you're welcome to ask questions. That's what the show is about, except for tonight.
Yeah, let's keep them to a minimum.
because the guest that is coming on in a few moments had a legal pad just filling out questions and topics and stuff. So there might not be much room for your questions just because he's over prepared for our conversation tonight. I think he's actually going to take over the show. Rule number 2 is that I don't know everything. You'll probably realize that later tonight. But we can learn together. If I don't know the answer, we can look things up. And if not, I can write it down in one of my notebooks.
Yep, you got one ready?
Got one right here. I always have a notebook around. That way I can write it down and it'll be homework for the next open mic night. Rule number 3 is that we follow the Patrick Swayze rule here, and that is be nice. You can be in the chat room, and I encourage you to have conversations and talk about topics. You can debate, you can question each other. That's cool. Rule 1A, ask questions. Rule 1B, don't ask questions.
Yeah, because you said not to ask questions tonight.
Stop pointing out my contradictions, Laura. Patrick Swayze rule. Be nice. That's it. Don't evolve into name calling and stuff like that. If it gets heated, just walk away. Just walk away. Change the subject, because if you keep going, Donna will boot your ass out of the chat room forever. Forever. Ever?
I see ghost cats is in the house.
Ghost cats.
I see ghost cats.
Rule number 4 is that, hey, I see ghost cats. Right?
I just
Rule number 4 is that if you do have a question, put a capital Q in front of it, except for tonight.
All right. You can throw your questions out there. Let's just say that
we might
not get them.
Yeah, we probably won't get to them all tonight, but if you have questions, put them in the chat. Because if it has something to do with what we're talking about, I'm sure Donna will just throw them up on screen, and then we'll address them. Yeah.
Or write them down, and we'll do them next. We will do it next time.
Rule number 5: drink up.
Oh, drink up. Yeah, we forgot.
There you go.
I keep interrupting.
Drink up, and now I'm going to take it back to the regular thing and say, let's give a round of applause for our guest tonight.
Round of applause.
Hey, Ron. That's a cool shirt. We're like twinsies.
Bob's in the house.
We're like twinsies.
Bob, we've missed you.
Hey, Bob.
Damn it, Bob.
Damn it, Bob. It's good to see you, Bob. Oh my goodness. So Ron is here tonight. We've known each other for a while now.
Quite a few years.
Yeah, quite a few years. And you've been on the show before.
I have.
You were on at
First
least
time-
twice before.
Yeah, first time
right?
I talked about biases on the computer,
Yeah.
and the second
biases on
time was
computer.
here.
Was here. Yeah.
Right after you got this lovely, beautiful studio.
Yes. And we talked about evidence.
We did.
And we had a nice conversation between the two of us about evidence and how you view it and how I view it, and the differences and overlap and all that stuff. So tonight you're kind of hanging out. You were up here. What are you up here for?
I'm up here. You probably wouldn't know this about me, but I'm a gigantic nerd. So I love, believe it or not, fossils. So I'm up here, Penn-Dixie. It's a park up here, and they have a Dig with the Experts Day where they have different experts in paleontology will come up. So and help you identify different finds that you have. Well, hopefully, because I
Right,
actually found
hopefully.
one last year that they couldn't identify, and I actually have an appointment for the curator at a museum on Monday to see if they can identify it.
That's
And
awesome.
how cool is that?
That is so cool.
It looks like the face hugger from the movie Aliens. That's exactly.
No.
That's
Yeah,
even
yeah, it does.
better.
I'll have it in the car.
That is
Oh,
so
you should've
cool.
brought it over.
I should have brought it over. It looks like the face hugger from Aliens.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love
Is
it.
there a reason why you don't have the chat in the corner tonight? Curious.
Oh,
Can you throw it up? I don't know how to do that. Oh, there it is.
there we go. Ask
He is a
and you shall be.
fossil.
Who said that?
What is that?
Who said that? That-
Gee.
Oh,
Gone.
he's not that old.
Oh.
I am a fossil. I am old. Sucks getting old. That's why I need glasses now to see anything. See, I didn't even see the comment. So I put my glasses on. I'm like, oh, there it is.
Thanks for coming back on Friday, Bob.
Dig with the experts. I like Ghost Hunter. Paris Lip. Shut up, Dave. Dig with the experts. That's not me. Oh,
Paris celebrity.
so
Ron is an expert.
yeah,
Getting there.
Aaron is you do classes,
I
right?
do, yeah,
Talk about
I
that.
teach like introduction to paleontology to the children in different schools, and I enjoy it because what I'll let you do is I'll let you make little goodie bags like for the kids. So part of the reason why I'm going where I'm going tomorrow is I'll let you take some of the fossils that I find and put them inside of goodie bags. So I'll teach the kids about the fossils, go over the PowerPoint, and then hand them all out so that they can all look and see, like, this is what a trilobite looks like. Here's the pygidium of the trilobite. Here's that's a trilobite butt, by the way. I said it sounds. It sounds kind of dirty.
Yeah.
So go
Well,
clean your pygidium. You know.
Don't be talking about my jiggle wiggle wiggly. Whatever.
So I said I get a lot of joy out of it. I like so that when the kids learn and it's hands on. So a lot of times you go to a museum and you can't touch anything at the museum. So a lot of my stuff, and there's like, you know, a lot of kids are tactile learners. They like to feel. So like a fragment of a dinosaur egg, and I go, no, like take it out of the case, touch it, run your hand across. You can feel the texture in the egg. Like actually experience, and hopefully maybe get them drawn into science a little bit more. You know, if it's real to them. You know, they can, you know, like, what's everyone's favorite dinosaur? Tyrannosaurus Rex. Hey, here's a Tyrannosaurus Rex tooth. Touch it, feel it, like actually experience it. That way they can hold a piece of history and a piece of science in their hand.
That's
and
awesome.
it's just rewarding to me to see the smile on their faces.
That's
And
awesome.
one of my favorite things to do, I was telling you earlier, is fossil poop. It's called a corporalite. And what I'll do is I'll pass that around first to all the kids. So then they touch it and look at, oh, what is this? And pass along at the end. Anyone know what that was? That was poo. And the kids, you know, let me where's some hand sanitizer? It's just something fun to do. So I really enjoy it.
It's got to be fun if you see one of the kids like.
Yeah, they pick it up and really look at it, and I've yet to see one put it in their mouth yet.
That'd be funny.
Hey, Ron, you talk too fast.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I do talk really fast. So
you do.
I'll slow it down.
So speaking of poop,
Yeah.
you looked at some, because we have here at the center alleged lake monster poop, and it was sent to Joe Nickel, and Joe passed it to me a while back, and it's on display. So it had a piece of paper with it saying it's from a certain lake. I forget which lake it's from. Actually, you know what? You looked at it, so you start talking about it. I'm going to run out and get it so we can show
Okay.
everybody.
Oh.
So this in particular fossil, I think, fossil here they have here, they're corporalite fossil they have here. I don't know. I find it most of corporalites that I come across, they're very like in order for a fossil to become a fossil, it needs to be buried like real quickly. It can't be eaten. It has to be. That's why most fossils are found around sources of water and rivers. And so this particular fossil, it looks very, very much like, I'm going to call it, how can I word this politely on Kenny's show? Loose stool. Most of the time, they're very solid and very
Chunky.
very cylindrical. So
What are you doing? I'm
cylindrical.
gonna have to change the rating on the
Sorry.
show.
I said I was trying to keep cylindrical. They're very cylindrical.
It's cursed poo.
So for something like this, seems like it would be a very loose stool. So, and if it's from a lake monster inside of the lake, unless it's possible the lake monster. I mean, like maybe they're like us and they want to stop and not poop in the water, but go down and poop on the sand and in the bottom of the lake, in the mud in the lake, and they got buried quickly. I mean, that's very. I don't know the anatomy or the pooping habits of alleged lake monsters. I'm not sure that's something that seems like you're more of your expertise, Kenny. I can just look at it and say that does not look like any piece of coprolite that I have ever seen.
They said Nessie had crap.
Yeah, looks. I mean,
look at
Nestle. They ate something very, and it seems very, very light too.
So I'm gonna have to.
It's very
you're
light.
touching it.
No, hang on. It's just.
Oh.
No, it's not poop.
There's hand sanitizer on the top. Let's see. So this says Lake Utopia.
Utopia.
So that's another thing that's weird. Like it says it's from Lake Utopia Monster, and I've never heard of Lake Utopia Monster. But I mean, it doesn't mean that there isn't a legend. But I haven't looked it up yet.
I'll send you a piece of poo so you can compare and contrast. Ken.
Okay.
Especially the weight. The weight is what really throws me off.
It says this was
Research.
It's very light, yeah, because it should be very like irony, very hard, very. It's
manganese or manganese iron.
Manganese iron
concretions. The author, under the direction of Dr. W.R. Trost, the Department of Chemistry, is being undertaken at Dalhousie University. The concentrically formed mineral oxides composed predominantly of manganese and iron have been found in several eastern Nova Scotian lakes. The concretions lie flat on the lake bottom, covered with a thin veneer of silt, or maybe slightly embedded in the sediment. Yours is from the bottom of Lake Utopia.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it written.
Tim says Lake Utopia is in New Brunswick.
Okay. So, thanks, Tim.
It just seems very, very light to me.
It is kind of,
especially if it's supposed to be iron and manganese. It seems way too light.
It seems very. It's to me.
I mean, I've handled my fair share of fossil poo before, and it seems pretty light.
Well, you're the shit. This just seems like not a lot.
No.
Like for a lake
how
monster.
small was a monster? I
mean, I'm thinking like we all saw Jurassic Park. We all saw when they stuck their hands in the big pile of poo. Like that's what I'm thinking. And that monster, that was a Triceratops, I think.
Right. That
was next to it. And this pales. This is disappointing, really. Unless it was constipated. I don't know.
I mean it has a little bit of some circular pattern to it.
Yeah. Like it was like a long then he did like a twisting thing. All right. Anyway, moving on. Hope everyone's enjoying the show. All right, so you have a bunch of topics. I was kind of just going to leave it open to like questions and stuff tonight, but you started preparing like a jackrabbit in heat to get a whole bunch of topics. So you want to just jump in? You want to take over hosting duties?
No, I would never. I don't think I'd ever fill those shoes.
So. I mean, I can do this. Wait a minute. So I can switch things where. Oh, it's still me. Never mind. Okay. I thought it was reversed. Okay. So what's your first topic?
So to me, I had a question for you.
You know what?
What's
before, did we have like a question or two that we could pop out real quick before them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. What do we got? That way, Ron, you are a
love the name. I love it.
Policeman without revealing too much. Is that how you met Kenny? Well, you're still a police officer.
I'm still a policeman.
Yes.
I'm actually a lieutenant now. So they made the mistake of promoting me.
Yay!
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. How did we actually meet? We met because I was a ghost hunter and started getting more into skeptical and into skepticism, and came across Kenny's YouTube channel, and he was speaking at or going to the ghost hunting store or something like that in Gettysburg, and we were actually going to Gettysburg that same weekend. So I actually went to Gettysburg, and that's the first time that we met. I remember you were saying about I said I really enjoyed your show. I learned a lot from it, and I figured as a thank you gift, I wanted to bring you. You always talked about your bottles of rum, so I brought you a bottle of Kraken for the for the show, and then you can take on the show, and then after that, a friend of mine put on a ghost hunting conference, and I spoke about biases and how biases can lead to your decision making and affect the way how you interpret, I guess, for lack of better words, evidence. And Kenny was actually going to be at the same conference that I was going to. Were you speaking, or were you
in Gettysburg too? I was. I remember
you had your booth set up.
I had my booth set up. I did a panel with Jason Hawes.
That's right. You did that's right. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yes. And I reached out to Kenny and said, "Hey, do you mind? I'm really as a skeptical expert. Would you mind sitting in on my panel?
Sitting on your
sitting in on my lesson and give me some feedback on it." And then ever since then, we just became friends.
Yeah.
We
were. You surprised me because when we met at the store in Gettysburg, you were there, and I didn't know who you were.
Right.
And I think I asked something like, "So what are you doing here?" And you're like, "I came to see you." I was like,
yes,
what?
Because we were talking about a bunch of we were just
bullshitting
in the store.
Yeah, it was the grand opening of the store. That's what it was.
Right.
Yes.
And then you pulled out this bottle of Kraken, and I'm like, "You're my new best friend."
Yeah, let's chat.
Let's talk more.
Poor Randy had a bum foot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So we've known each other for a couple of years now, and it's been fun. Come up here,
come up here a couple times and see you come on the show.
And we could bounce ideas.
Hunting.
I drug them out fossil hunting one day. He had so much fun. Don't let their face.
Oh
He had a blast.
I had a blast.
Yeah.
I was that kid. I was sitting down on a rock, just hitting the same rock because I'm like, I want to go home.
You're sitting in the sun.
You're like, let's go fossil hunting, and I'm not knocking it.
I know,
but I mean, my thought was, I want to find a big ass skull. I want to find a bone, like a huge bone. And you were getting so excited for things that were like that small. I'm like,
oh, look at it's a star noise fan. Look at it. Where? I don't have to do it. It's right there, Kenny.
That's a rock.
What are you looking at?
I drug you guys to the canal one day too, didn't I? Yeah.
All right.
What other questions we got there?
Skinny ass department.
Only the fuzzy ones.
Yeah. Because they're pink.
The pink fuzzy ones. No, trust me, the real handcuffs. They've been on people that you wouldn't ever want to touch. So I mean, they're disgusting.
Ew.
Yeah.
I never even thought of that. That's like gross.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Zontol, Michael Burkeen. Aaron, what's the coolest fossil that you found? Mine has to be the fossilized claw of I don't know what that is.
Baculate fossil.
Okay.
All right. So there are two of them. I can't pick which one's probably the coolest one. But the first one was actually a piece of a shark cartilage, a piece of actual shark skin from the Cretaceous. Ooh. And it is super rare to find skin because it doesn't preserve well at all. I mean, it's only for fossil size, it's pretty big. It's about that big around. And it's a piece of fossilized cartilage, so it's actually neat. You can actually see the scales of the shark, like the actual shark skin on it. So it's actually fun. It's fun, like pass around to the kids. They can touch it and see it and everything. This is actual shark skin. This is from a shark when the dinosaurs ruled the earth.
Wow.
This is swimming in the water with dinosaurs there. And the other one, it's a small crinoid stem, but it's actually hasn't been identified. So it actually might be a brand new species. And if it is, I actually get to name it after myself. So I actually
that's cool.
I can have my own species name. I haven't figured the name yet, but
is this the one you're taking on Monday?
No, that's not the one I'm taking on Monday. But I did reach out to him, and he put that curator from the museum put me in contact with another curator. It's trying to find somebody, an expert in crinoid stems. It's not as easy as one would think.
It doesn't sound like.
But yeah.
All right. That's cool. That's cool. See, I like that kind of thing. I like looking at these objects and saying, wow, like these are from millions of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's amazing to me. Like today we went to the Buffalo Science Museum, and walked around. And it's the first time I've been there too. First time you've been there, and Donna, and we roamed around. And I was fascinated when we came across the sarcophagus.
Here you go. There's a name for it.
Yeah,
Brontosaurus.
Brontosaurus.
Cheers to that. I like
Yeah.
every go.
Cheers.
That's it.
That'd really be cool if you named it that.
Yeah, it would be. I actually might use that name.
There you
Aaronosaurus for
Aaronosaurus.
Yeah.
Aaron.
The Aaron of the hyphen. Has
Yes,
the
it
hyphen.
has
Yeah.
to have the
Aaronosaurus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was fascinated by this,
I was fascinated.
looking at all the hieroglyphics and
I was fascinated just by your knowledge in Egyptology and the like being able to look at it and like, oh no, this is how they weigh the heart.
Right.
The heart gets bent. It's actually all engraved on the sarcophagus that's been
That was
around
really, really
since
cool.
what was it, 750 BC?
yeah,
I think it was, and just to be able to see the artwork on it and just the detail and the time that somebody put into it without having modern tools that we have
Yeah, and
today.
it still
I mean,
looks
without
beautiful.
think about like even the paintbrushes what they had to use for that. Like, how did
Right.
they get a paintbrush that to get that
Detail,
to get
yeah.
that detail?
Yeah,
in it.
it looks
Yeah.
like a decal.
I mean, it looks like it was just done.
Just
Like,
yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It really looks good, and it was nice to see that. It was really cool to see that, and some of the other stuff that was in the museum. Although we stayed there the whole time, we
Yeah.
stayed there till
Yeah.
closing.
Yeah, they kicked us out. We couldn't even go to the gift shop.
Yeah, we wanted to go buy
I
stuff.
wanted to exit to the gift shop and get some.
So that's the problem. They don't have it going. You don't exit through the gift shop, and that I think
Yeah,
that's
they messed that
they're,
up.
they're missing out.
They missed the
because-
mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, take a hint from every theme park. Every ride opens into the gift shop.
Exactly.
That's what you have to do. That's how you make your money, and put the kid stuff right in front.
And you always leave the gift shop open like 10 minutes in.
Yeah, they say, quick as the gift shop closed.
Yeah, it's
Gotta
like,
get it out.
Hell,
I'm like,
Like we're asking
but
to buy
I
stuff.
want to buy something from your museum.
I want to spend money here.
I have money. Take the
Telling me
money.
no. Come on, guys. Anyway, all right.
Any
that-
other questions?
Are we good? We caught up with.
There's one.
Okay. Is he single? Asking for a friend. Oh,
No, sorry. Happily married.
hey now.
Aaron is faking.
Hey Ron, getting hit on the show. That's cool. All right. So let's get into some of the topics.
here's
Oh
one-
wait,
one more question.
visited a 450 million year old ancient seabed here in Ontario, Canada, the Cheltenham Badlands. How do they determine the age of a piece of land?
Well, they can do that a couple different ways. One of it is through radiometric dating, and another one would be through what's the third one on the spot here? It is it's relative dating. So if they already know something that lived between a certain age and only found between a certain time frame, like a certain fossil that's only found between in a certain time frame, and they find that particular fossil inside of that material, then they can actually date it relative to the fossil.
And usually
It'd be
it's in
arranged.
levels, right?
Yeah.
So you'll have a level where all of the
the
the fossils
superposition.
are found. Yeah.
The law of superposition.
Right,
So yes.
right. That's good. All right. I think we can move on to Aaron taking over.
I'm not quite
Hosting
taking it. I'm not quite
Oh,
taking it over.
you have all the topics and
I
questions.
don't have that many topics, but
All
I
right,
have some
so-
quite good things to talk about.
Explain what you have here
What do you mean explain? I have questions
for
for.
everyone here.
I have questions for both of us and distant discussion and discussion points and topics to talk about. For
Okay.
instance, I have a good question for you, Ken.
Okay.
So tell me, so for you, what is good evidence to you, and how has your definition of evidence changed over time throughout your journey into skepticism?
Good. I gotta write this.
He's gonna
So
write
this
it
is
down so
Good
you-
evidence.
Yeah,
So
okay,
these
so,
are- no,
so
so
what is
this-
good evidence for you?
This is what I do with when I have good debates going on, because there's multiple topics to talk about. So good evidence, it really depends on I guess the situation. Evidence. What is evidence? So I guess this is difficult because I'm used to dealing with really bad evidence. So
Oh, wait, I have a question
for
on that
good. I would say if you have a full, say something happens in a room. Okay, I'm just going to use a hypothetical here. There's an experience inside of a room, and you have that room covered by 3 4K cameras, and we can see all the entrances, exits, everything. We can see outside.
Mhm.
The whole place is monitored. I would think that would be good evidence of what's going on in the environment visually and audibly, as long as they're all equipped with microphones,
Right.
because we can see inside, outside, all the exits, entrances, and we have the entire area covered. Especially if we have cameras above and below. So if you have
Something
upstairs
above
or
the
an
floor,
attic,
below
yeah,
the floor. Okay.
and then like a lower floor or something like that, because you want to have everything covered. Because if somebody says they're in a room, they hear a knocking sound, then I don't know if it's coming from outside. I don't know if it's coming from someone above or below. So if we have all those covered and everything is synced into one DVR system with good resolution, not the shit stuff that we have, I would say, all right, that's good evidence of
You see, I would.
what's covered.
Yeah, I would actually do that when I was doing when I did paranormal investigations. I would actually have a camera at least facing on the outside of the house, so you can see if a car was driving by or something. I couldn't have all the cameras that I wanted. Obviously,
Right.
I was very limited what I could do. But I would take I had several different audio recorders and start them all at the exact same time and put one on each level, one out on like corner the 1-2 side of the house, the other one on the 3-4 side of the house. So that way, like one's on each corner of the house to capture anything that would happen outside.
Okay.
So, and that way, if you heard a knock inside or a bang, I could say, well, what? And then what I would do too is keep track of where everybody's at throughout the house. So that way, like, at 3:15 we hear a knock, I can go, well, Kenny was on the first floor, someone's on the second floor. Check those cameras there. Were they moving? Was it outside? Was it? And then I'd have a audio recorder on each floor. So
Right.
that way too, I could go and say, oh no, it was Kenny drops his bottle of Kraken.
Right.
That's what it was.
And I agree, Dave. Like this is data, but it's also in that situation, it is evidence presented saying this is all of our views of a certain area.
Mm-hmm.
This is evidence that nobody was there, so that would be evidence. But something else like environmental data. So you collect. And this is something, especially with Dave here, this is something we've talked about, collecting environmental data over the course of at least a year at one location. And ideally having multiple instruments collecting multiple samples per second year round around the entire property would be great. I mean, that's astronomical, but it would be great. You collect all that data for the year, and now you can submit as evidence. Here is a pattern of the year of environmental spikes, dips, the basic natural pattern for this environment. Here is a graph that shows us like all the spikes in EMF, the temperature variances, the electrical usage, and this, that, and the other thing. All kinds of environmental data that's collected over that year, and then that would be presented as evidence of here's the routine situation, the average over a year.
Right.
And now if we see anomalies from that, now it's something to look at.
Right.
So
now, would you consider that data or evidence? Like does the evidence
That's
equal
what Dave
data?
asked.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
So
Say for me, that equals like if I capture something during an investigation, what I capture is evidence. It's data. If I take a picture, it's a picture, but the picture is evidence.
right. So I'm looking up here just to make sure. Basic definition: evidence is the available body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true or valid. So that's why I went into that explanation. If you submit all of the data throughout that year and say, look, this is the routine, there is nothing abnormal going on. All the anomalies are accounted for because we looked at different situations and we found the anomalies and this and that. That's your evidence. That would be evidence of that belief. Same with the cameras. All that footage coming together saying, hey, in here, this is evidence that says nobody was in this building at this time.
Right.
There was no human cause. There was no animals that we found causing this noise. So that would be evidence for that statement. That's
Yes, and I would agree. I say when we go out and when we go for police work, I guess I look at it a little bit differently than other people in reference to what Dave was saying. Is anytime we capture or we take anything, we go to a crime scene, and I take, I don't know, we were talking earlier, there's 20 cigarette butts on the ground. We take 20 cigarette butts. Every single one of those cigarette butts would be evidence. Evidence of what? It depends on what we need at the time when we test it. When we collect it, the collection of it coming into our custody would then be evidence. So like that is evidence that can be tested later.
So you're talking about chain of custody?
Yeah, like
that would be.
It's within the chain of custody. Yeah, that's part of it.
Okay.
I'm saying so say later, say we collect those 20 cigarette butts, and then we find out later that a new person, a new suspect comes into mind. Then we can test their DNA against those cigarette butts, but we don't know if that's that person at that time. We don't know how many cigarette butts there were. We don't know if he even smokes. Like we just capture. We take the evidence, the stuff left behind at the scene, and that's treated as evidence.
Okay. Data is raw, unprocessed information, while evidence is data that has been analyzed and interpreted to support a claim or conclusion from Google.
Right.
The great and powerful Google.
Google knows all.
All hail to Google.
All hail to Google.
Evidence of a ghost? Evidence there is no natural explanations. Evidence. So I guess in the two examples that I gave, one would be evidence that there were no living creatures, human or animal, in the area that would cause a noise. So yeah, you collect the data at the time, and that data was looked at and determined that there was no living creatures that were found. So that would be evidence that no living creatures were in there at the time. So it might be something mechanical or something like that. With the collecting the data and the normal, getting your pattern over a year, that would say, if I came to anyone and said, well, we looked at this for over a year, and this house has a baseline that falls within normal usage, and here's my evidence. Here is a pattern. There is no weird anomalies. There's nothing to come out that would cause me to say, well, what's the parasurge, or what's this spike in humidity, or something like that inside of a house. Everything is within normal average household usage or range. But yeah, I think that's as far as I can go with it. I mean, it doesn't have to be evidence of ghosts or not ghosts. It's just, this is evidence of no human interaction.
That there's nobody inside of the room if X happens, there's nobody inside of the room. And just because something happened doesn't mean you can make any sort of assertions and say, well, this happened, therefore it was this. You just don't have enough evidence to explain it at that given time.
Right. Okay.
But it would still be, to me, in my mind, the way from law enforcement, I guess, everything I take in, anything I do is evidence, just because of just the way how it's captured, the way how I would keep, like you said, they keep it for a chain of custody, which we'll get into a little bit later, because I have a question for you about that when you do your investigation. I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse and get ahead of myself.
Okay. All right. Well,
so tell me.
Okay.
So we got your definition of evidence pretty much, and what you think of evidence. How was your death? Sorry, I'm talking fast again.
Yeah,
slow down.
Sorry, I'm excited.
Relax.
I'm excited to be here.
Have another drink.
How has your definition of evidence changed over time? Like thinking back to when you were, not so skeptical as a ghost, when you were in your ghost hunting days, to now. Like, how has your definition of evidence progressed? Like how has your idea of evidence changed?
So I think the difference, or some of the differences, would be not jumping on something right away. Just because I hear a noise, like that would be typical ghost hunting to me. Was I hear a noise down the end of the hall? I walk down the end of the hall. I didn't see anything. Ghost. That's evidence of a ghost. That was in my ghost hunting days. Yeah. And now I will look at it and go, all right, well, I don't know what caused it, so I don't know. It's a noise. I don't have a cause. it's not evidence of anything. It's all I know is that I heard a noise. Well, at least I think I heard a noise.
Right.
You know, and I'm not sure. So I think it's more questioning before I how do I put this? How has it changed? I think I do question a lot more and realize that there is collecting data over time and then analyzing before presenting it as evidence one way or the other.
Okay.
So before, in ghost hunting days, it would be more like, well, a light blinked ghost. I took a picture, there's an orb. That's evidence of a ghost. If a K2 meter fell between 3 and 7 milligauss.
You remember the milligauss?
It was evidence. That's because that was the yellow section on the scale.
Right.
You know, like that was evidence. Instead of realizing, no, that's more like, all right, like EMF reading would be more data, collecting data.
Right.
Like, all right, where's this?
Oh.
Asking the question, where did it come from? Oh, thanks, Wen. $10 Australian, I think that's what that is. Just wanted to share my positive vibe. I'm on all natural brain chemistry high because the worst semester at university ever is over, and I'm so grateful. Well, then we'll have a drink for
Cheers to
you.
you.
I'm glad your
Glad
semester's over.
that it's over.
Yeah, I'm glad your semester's over.
Oh.
Do you remember what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm just reading up.
Sorry.
Okay. Moving on. All right.
So how is it now?
I think it's more strict. It's more. I'm questioning more things, and sometimes it's not always evidence of something. It's evidence. Well, no, that would be wrong. It's not evidence of what I believed.
Mm-hmm.
Say like, someone complains of high EMFs that pop in and out.
Okay.
A certain room, and I go in there and I catch it. Back in the ghost hunting days, I would say, "Oh, look, that must be a ghost coming through, or making an appearance, or a manifestation, or something like that." Now it's more like, "All right, I'm getting a reading. It's spiking. Where's it coming from?
Yeah.
I have to find out where it's coming from.
Where's the source?
Let's track
what
down
came
the source.
on, what
Yes.
came off,
And then
turned on.
maybe we go down and we find out that there's a compressor in the basement or in the garage that kicks on, and it causes a dip and spike in the system, and that's what's causing the reading.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, all right, so we collect the data. This is now evidence that it's. Is it evidence? I don't know. Now Dave's got me questioning. Damn you, Dave.
Right?
Well, no,
Like-
because I understand Dave. I understand Dave's definition of evidence. When you're looking for something to prove the trueness of a proposition. If you just have nothing,
Right.
it doesn't prove anything. But like I said, and I look at it as a legal standpoint, as when I see evidence, it's everything that we collected that came into our custody is now we got to treat it as evidence because it could be used as evidence inside the future.
Mm.
Okay.
So like I said, we collect 20 cigarette butts, and all of a sudden we get now we have to try to prove that Joe Smith was at the scene of this crime. We have to go and test all 20 of those cigarette butts. If we would lose chain of custody or not collect them and not treat them and as high as regard as evidence, that it could be lost in court.
Okay.
So and like I understand. I look at it as two different definitions. When someone says the word cell, do they mean a prison cell, or do they mean a cell that's like a human cell? Like it's just different definitions of the same word almost.
Right, and I think the differences here maybe between me and Dave are that he is speaking as a trained scientist.
Yes.
I'm not a scientist, and I'm not looking to
prove a
prove
proposition.
it in science. I guess I'm using it just from an investigation standpoint, and I'm not.
Right.
Again, I'm not a scientist. It's a data point. Isn't data just a point? While evidence is interpreted data. So yeah, I mean, I'm just going by the basic definition here.
I mean, data could be a data point. Data
Information.
could also be evidence. You know, it could be
Yeah.
evidence of something.
Evidence, facts, information, documents that give reason to believe that something is true.
Mhm.
So
So
Yeah,
if
I mean,
you do have a particular data point of something that's showing something and that data could be interpreted as evidence showing that point is true.
Right,
So
right.
yeah. Hope that makes sense.
we don't know what ghosts are, so you can't have evidence for or against.
We don't know what
We
they
are still in data collection. So we can have evidence that says an experience was caused by if we actually find a cause, like with the compressor example. If we find a cause for an EMF spike and we can trace it back to that, now we have evidence of this is the case, not something else. This is information and facts that show this is the case.
And you're absolutely going to have some data that's going to come across that you can't explain, that we can't trace back to anything. And that's the case when you have to start building your case, the evidence for the case for, towards the paranormal. Like if something that you can't explain doesn't mean that you can't explain it now. Doesn't mean that you can't explain it yet. So build your case.
Yeah.
To your conclusion. But use your evidence to build your case towards your conclusion. Don't start at your conclusion and use your evidence to prove your case.
This is fun. It's really making me think. I'm just going back and forth. Investigator is thrown around.
Debunk the junk.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that.
It's thrown around too loosely in the paranormal YouTube scene. When we blur the meaning, we blur the standards for evidence. If we can't define the work, how can we trust the findings? I mean, I get it. Yeah. If you can't, I think that's something we've talked about on this show and on Three Tortured Souls, where like we have that old school mentality. We show the work. You couldn't just do a math problem by putting the answer. You had to fill out the whole. They gave you that sheet of paper, or use the back of the paper and show your work. How do you got it? And that's, I guess that's what it means. Like for us, we have to show how we got to these findings, and that's a big part of it. And I know with you, like and we'll get into it later because I know that's on your list. But like collecting and how you store it.
Yeah, it's a good entry point.
Okay, yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, so for you, when you go and you collect, like when you have a case.
I'm glad I have brought extra rum.
Well, we have 10 minutes before break, so
yeah. What do you do for you for your chain of custody and the preservation of evidence, as well as your, I guess depending on the scenario, like how would you go about properly collecting evidence? So like for a case that you may have, if you can bring up an example.
So usually I find like physical aspects or attributes, details at the location. Say just to keep it simple, just reviewed a documentary about one of the claims was that two doors opened by themselves and then they closed by themselves.
Okay.
And one of the things that I pointed out was in the video, when this experience happens, you see the front door and the front door is wide open and it's a beautiful day out, and there's no indication that one of the back doors that swung open and closed by itself was actually closed. So for me, I take a screenshot of that and actually save the entire video, because like here's the documented video of when the experience took place, showing the front doors open. So a logical cause, a more natural cause, is that air came in from the front door from a breeze and then was sucked out, and because the back door wasn't completely closed, that opened up, and we have air pressure causing these doors to open and close. And when we watch the footage, that's exactly what it looks like. 100%? No, doesn't mean that that's what it is. But in that case, it's like, all right, we have this clip. I'm going to save that clip. That goes into my file. That goes into here, and it's right off of their video. So it's in like a released DVD.
Okay.
If it's an artifact, say like if it's like a hair sample, if we're going Bigfoot hunting or something like that, I
That's what I
have
was kind of like leaning towards, something
Right.
like physical evidence.
right. There's not much physical evidence when you're looking for ghosts.
No.
There's really not. I mean,
a lot
if
for cryptids, but
people say like a book flew across the room, it's like, all right, it's a book.
no. Then I mean, you could do things with that book, and there's actually like you can weigh the book to find out how much it weighs, and then I'm using the term correctly. Find out you can actually figure out the distance that it moves, and do a bunch of physics math, and figure out how much energy
Right.
it took to move that book, and you
Right.
can figure out. So there is ways you can.
So yeah,
'Cause I would actually do that too. I would actually
that
an object moved. I would weigh the object. Say it took so much energy in order for the object to move this distance. Just
I think
look for correlations.
I was talking. All right, so I got to back up. I got to slow down because
You're talking
I'm
as
getting
fast
ahead of
Yeah,
myself.
everybody's
I'm getting
talking.
ahead of myself.
You're talking
Like,
as fast as me. You got to slow down.
it is a book, but one of the things I would do and that I have done
Mhm.
would be to interview the witness and say, all right, tell me what happened. Show me. And then we'll take video of that. And then I'll recreate it. So if the book allegedly flew across a room, after interviewing and asking questions, clarifying questions, again, all while taking video of this. So I have their words, not mine. I can ask questions, still described in their words. What exactly happened? Did it actually come across like this? Did it come across the floor lower? This and that. Where was the book? We'll put it back and we'll see what happens if, say, they put it back and it wasn't all the way in.
And you're asking, I guess, like subjective versus objective questions.
Well, yeah. I want them to tell me what happened in their words.
Perfect. Okay.
And if they say, like, something I've come across commonly is someone will say, well, this book or this object, it flew across the room. Like all of a sudden it flew across the room.
Mhm.
And usually when I hear descriptions like that, it's exaggerated. Not intentionally, but I think because the experience was so unnerving that they put emphasis on the word flew, and it sounds like it literally like over their heads across the entire room. When you start asking, all right, how far did it actually go? Where did it land? And you find out that it only landed a few feet from the shelf. Okay. And then from that, I can say, all right, well, let's look at this a little bit closer. Where was it? So let me scratch the book and say this is a dog bowl. Okay. That was in a cabinet, because this is an actual case that I worked on. The claim was that the dog bowl was in a cabinet above the kitchen counter, and that it flew out. The door opened by itself. The bowl flew out across the room and landed on steps going down to the basement.
Hungry ghost dog. I'm direct. Okay.
Obviously.
Got it.
So, talking to the witness, found out that it did not actually fly. She didn't see it fly. She didn't see it go across the room. She heard it bounce.
Okay.
Several times. The room is not that big. The kitchen is probably from Donna to the wall here, so it's not very big. The counter sticks out further than the cabinet. When I opened the cabinet, it opened quite easily. It had one of those, I forget what it's called, but it's like a spring-loaded clamp, and there's a nub.
And it clicks in.
Goes in like that. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's tension.
Mm-hmm.
But
hold it like a C
Right.
lock.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. But there was so much in the cabinet that it wasn't closed all the way.
Okay.
And I asked her, is this normally how it is? Yes. Okay, great. Waited for a couple minutes. It popped open itself. So I was like, all right, put the bowl in there, close it, and wait. What happens if we open it?
Mhm.
Like, it may take some time, and I'm not going to wait here for hours for it to happen. What happens if we put it all in there, pop it open? The bowl came out, hit the counter, bounced, and landed exactly where she found it. And we did that several times.
Okay.
And to me, I was like, all right,
Yeah,
this
okay.
is a logical explanation. This is something that we recreated, we can demonstrate. For now, this is the most logical explanation for this until we can come up with new information that refutes this.
Right. And a big part for that would be it's actually repeatable.
Repeatable, yeah.
Yeah.
Woo. Obviously hungry dog, ghost dog. What will happen to ghosts making books fly? Or phones, they will make PDFs fly. That's funny.
That's pretty good.
That's funny. So yeah, I mean, and I guess if it comes to physical evidence,
Mhm.
again, like haunted houses and stuff, there's really not a lot of physical evidence to test.
Right.
So not really anything. I can't think of anything on the top of my head that I would bag.
I mean, like some things that I did just as a police officer, like thinking ahead of like when someone says, oh, like the water would come on the sink all the time. I brought some wipes, wiped off the all the knobs, had my fingerprint dust with me, so that way I could tell if anyone touched it, or if a ghost touched it, I would have the ghost finger. How should that be to have the fingerprints of a dead
Right.
person? Like have the ghost.
Run through the system. Yeah. Be like, oh, we got a hit.
Exactly. I
They
mean,
died 20 years ago.
like something like that would be that would be incredible evidence to actually have.
That's like an
So-
episode of Monk.
Yeah, so I mean, so that's the kind of stuff that I would do. Like I would try to think of like, well, what's the way how I could best capture the most cleanest piece of evidence from this? Like,
Right.
if someone's turned this on, the sink knob come out on its own doesn't really do much for me. I want to know who did it, what did it, how did it happen, why did it happen. So, that's just something that I would do.
I'm writing that down because that's a good idea.
I'll send you a fingerprint kit. Next time it comes
All
around.
right.
I'll bring you one up.
Faucet handles.
Yeah.
Because that's something I never thought of.
I clean them all the
Yeah,
time.
because like I would just think of like I want to capture clean, clean evidence. Like
It's so awesome.
Yeah,
That's
just
a good
something I would
idea.
do. Yeah.
Good job. I like that. I'm totally stealing that.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess if it comes to, well, there may be objective testable. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess if it's physical evidence, like I do have containers that I would use tweezers. I wouldn't touch anything.
And say, or you gotta make sure that your containers are sterile, they're clean.
Yeah.
Take tape and put. I'll see if I can obtain a roll of evidence tape for you. That'd be kind of
Yeah.
fun. to
Oh,
have.
yeah.
It tells if someone broke it. It's real like that real fragile tape to
Right.
put over top of it, so that way you can make sure you date sign across the top.
I have I don't know where they are. I have like little things that I printed out that where is it? Oh, is that it? I'm
no.
dropping shit. No. I have stickers somewhere that I printed out. I made my own like evidence
evidence.
stickers so
That's
that
smart.
I
So
can put it
you
on
put it on
top.
top. That way
Because,
you can prove through your chain of custody that no one tampered it. No one
Yeah,
tampered with it.
yeah. And I usually, if it's stuff like that, I take pictures of it, where it is, how I found it. I'll put a ruler next to it just so I get
For
the
scale.
size. Yeah, for scale. Once I bag it, I try to take video of that. I'll set up my phone on a tripod and take
Mhm.
video as I'm putting it in there, so you can see like this is what I'm putting it in, sealing it up, taping it. This is how it's taped. Show it to the camera, and then bring it back here. If I have to send it out, then I haven't had to do that yet. Hey, Taryn. But if I did, I'd find a company, say, all right, how do I
Send this to you.
what
give
do
it
I
to you.
do?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me how to send this to you, so that I can go through the proper channels. But yeah, other than that, I try to keep a log of everything. When I do take a notebook, I'll write all the notes down. I usually sign the end when I'm done. When I know I'm done with that page, I sign and date the bottom of the page. I take a picture of it.
Mhm.
That way I have a copy of that. And then those go in the files too, because I don't want to add notes later.
Right.
If I have to add notes, another piece of paper. No big deal. But I'm not going to change notes because, like a lot of the things I log when I call people, when they call me back, what information they give me. If I email somebody, even though I have the record of the email, I still write it in my notes. When did I email them? Date and time. Who was it? Who are they? Like their title, something like that. So I have all the information. So basically, I want to make sure that if somebody else takes over for me when I die, because I'm never going to retire, they can look at. I'm not. Why would I retire from this job? It's the greatest job in the world. But if I retire and somebody does take over, I want them to be able to look at this and say, well, you know what? This case is coming back into the news. Let me look at what he has, and they'll be able to know every single thing I did and why. So
Do you ever get written statements from your witnesses after having like write down their
try.
words? Okay.
If I can get them to, because most of the time the requests come in free email.
Mhm.
So I have the description. If I talk to them on something like this, or if we talk through, if they reach out to me like a direct message or something in Facebook or something, a comment on YouTube,
Mhm.
I'll say, here's my email. Email me a full description and whatever pictures or a link to the video. Give me a full description of what was going on and any details, so that I have that record that gets printed out and goes in the file.
Okay.
So everything
Goes in the file.
goes in the file.
Do you have a set of like standardized questions that you give that aren't necessarily directly related to that particular claim? I mean, but besides like basic information, do you have like a standardized set of questions?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, I don't have I probably should. That would be a nice
used
for
to.
like a survey. I did have like not an application, but I did have an interview form that I would ask, but that was in my ghost hunting days. So
That's what I was thinking.
I
like
would have to
something
go
like
back,
that.
and then revise that. That's actually a good idea. I'm going to write that down.
It's a good time for a break before we go any further.
Revise
It's been an hour already.
Yeah, we're at 9.
Jeez. Interview form. Okay. From Pyra.
What shirt are you wearing?
Pyra.
What is that?
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh man.
Look
All
that
right.
one up on the
So
book.
no, I scrubbed that shit. That was
Really?
embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Yeah, I scrubbed
Oh.
it. All right, so we're gonna take our break, and we're gonna go chill out for a minute or two, and we'll be back, and we'll be doing more discussions because this is fun. This is interesting.
Oh, wait till we come back from the break. I'm gonna spin the big wheel.
Oh yeah, we got.
Oh yeah, we gotta figure out what we're gonna do. We gotta come up with a hashtag.
Oh, we're gonna do a hashtag.
I guess. I don't know. We'll discuss it over break.
All right.
We'll figure it out. And then,
Lloyd Arabeck has a great set of interview questions.
oh, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. All right. Where is it? Where am I oh, there's the pee break. All right. We'll see you back here in 4 minutes and 9 seconds from now.
Bye guys.
And now for something completely different.
Welcome, my fellow skeptics. Welcome, one and all. I am the chief investigator. Oh, come along, old chap. We will have a ball. Now, if you will excuse me, it's time to open the mic. Good night. Good night. Kenny Biddle for me investigating's my game, and I will have at it. Quid pro quo. As the head of this committee, hunting for ghosts can be shitty, but there is nothing better that I know. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? Let's open the bar and have some questions, alright. Maybe you might find an answer or two. I will find the truth this night and day, and if my name is not Kenny Biddle, then I assure you here I will not stay. Good day! Kenny Biddle's the name, goes hunting's the game. I won't let anything get in my way. Too many fakers out there, too many chefs, too many toe tappers, none of it makes any sense. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? Let's open the bar and ask some questions, alright. Maybe you might find an answer or two. Who knows? There may be ghosts in the machine, but trust me, I am not so keen. I prefer to see these things clearly, not in 144 ready for me. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? If you don't think I am right, let's open mic night. Yeah, yeah. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? If you don't think I am right, let's open mic night. Yeah. If you have an answer or two, let Kenny Biddle solve it for you. Let Kenny Biddle solve it for you. The one and only Kenny Biddle. Kenny Biddle. Kenny Biddle. Kenny
All right, we are back.
That's a heavy pour, Kenny.
Kenny like, oh.
Pour with your heart. Pour with your heart.
I got AA round on one side. I got Dave on the other. It's been a fun night. Oh man. All right. What's your next talking point?
So I wanted to know. Let's see. What's the one? That's the good one that I want to talk about. Okay. What was the weakest piece of paranormal evidence that someone brought to you to try to prove a bad claim? And for an example, I'll tell the police story one. Like a bad piece of evidence that someone presented to me one time was someone stole someone's 50-inch plasma screen TV from their house. And the officer, the only way they got in and out of here, because I locked my doors, was through the window, which was about 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet. So somehow they squeezed a 50-inch plasma screen TV out of a window, barely big enough to squeeze out a person. But that's the only way they got in. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, they broke the window to get into the house, like allegedly. Along with a bunch of other stuff, including their rent money was stolen.
Okay. And then all the glass pieces were like outside,
Were outside,
Nothing was
yeah.
in.
Yeah. It was a long time ago. I'm trying to remember. It's like they stole the TV and took it out the window. Like,
But did you do that with your eyes? Like they took it
I'm like, they took it out.
out?
They took it out. That window.
That window? Are you sure about this?
That window.
That window right there?
Are you sure?
Are you sure?
That
Are
is
you
me.
sure
Are
you're
you
gonna
sure?
stay with that?
Do you want
I'm
to?
like, this is your story. And
Do
you're
you want to
sticking to it,
stand
right?
next to it?
Right.
And
Are you
let's
sure?
look at this window again.
Let's do this together as a team.
Let's see.
Let's see. Anyway,
My
And it was-
phone
are
barely
you sure
fits through there.
you say, 5-inch TV. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
There
Okay,
you
yeah,
go.
someone stole your little TV out the window. But no,
One
they
of those
stole the
little
plasma
TV radio things.
Yep.
Yeah, like that's
They stole a bunch of stuff and took it. Only way in and out, officer. My door was locked when I came, but they made it through. They went through the window. I said, all right, you got it.
All
Let
right.
me write that down.
It was full of
Okay.
TV.
So what is like someone that someone believed was a strong piece of evidence? Like they said, look at this. Mr. Chief Investigator, I have this unbelievable piece of evidence that you're not going to believe. And it proves X. What was something that somebody brought to you?
So there's a few that come to mind. One it was completely serious, but I'm probably going to laugh when I say it because it was just it shocked me so much. Somebody I was in a conversation with someone and they were like, I can't believe you don't believe that ghosts are real. And I said, all right, well, I haven't seen good evidence for ghosts, like spirits of the dead living, like or moving or continuing on.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have good evidence? And he's like, absolutely. I said, all right, what is it? What do you have? And show me, and I'll take a look at it. And he's like, what about 18 seasons of Ghost Adventures? Like, and he said it with a straight face. 18 seasons of Ghost Adventures. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? That was his best evidence.
Wow.
And that was
Wow.
Oh man. Yeah, that was just it has to be squishy. That's right. You know, like shut up, Dave. That's good.
I missed Dave's comment, so I was looking at a piece of paper.
It's okay. It's all right. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. All right, I had to mute it because I didn't want someone will get butthurt if I say their name. All right, so that was one. Another.
Let's say side note for you on that.
Sure.
I'll get into it. Actually, I'll get into it in a minute. Hang on, go ahead, because it's part of witness testimony that I want to talk about.
There was a guy that called me, and he said that he lived in Florida, that his dog could do math, could do complex math. And I said, all right, do you have like something to go on, like proof? He's like, yeah, we were on the news. I said, all right, like, do you have a link to this? He's like, you just need to come down to Florida and test us.
Sure, let me come on down.
Because I'm going to win that check. He's referring to the $500,000. Right. And I was like, all right, so first, no, I'm not coming down to Florida until you at least give me a reason that I would want to come down to Florida. He's like, well, I'll send you the news segment, and then you call me right back to tell me you're on your way. Okay. Let me see the news segment. I saw the news segment, and I mean, it was a 5-minute segment, and I picked out several times where he was cueing the dog with treats to put the dog, like he would say, like, what's this plus this? And when I get to the number, you know, the dog has to put the paw on his knee.
Okay.
And I could see him cueing the dog on his number. And I was like, I can't, I'm not going to pursue this because I can see you cueing it. I can see you cueing, you raise the treat a certain way and the dog's reacting to it. And I see the pattern for each one. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to test it. And he was pissed off. He was just whatever. And I said, look, you know what? I'm not the one that runs the test. You're welcome to fill out the application yourself. They take care of it. Just fly out to LA. I'm not going to LA. They got to come to Florida. And he started screaming at me, screaming till I was like
have a good day.
Done. And then there was another one. Oh, the guy that predicted my death. He called. Remember the guy so there was a gentleman that called me, and he wanted to tell me a story that he has feelings about people. Like he gets these feelings where someone's going to get hurt, and if they don't believe him, something bad happens to them. And I said, all right, I don't believe you. And there was silence, and I was like, does that mean something bad's going to happen to me? And I want to make it clear, like, he was really nice. We spoke on the phone for like an hour and a half, just good conversation back and forth. And he was like, I don't know, it's just a pattern I've seen. If they don't believe me, and he gave me some examples of like neighbors that he said, like, make sure you take care of your house, and they didn't, so they got hit by a car. Some things like that. And then I said, well, I still don't believe that you have like a superpower of predicting when someone's going to get hurt. I mean, if you want to fill out the application, by all means, please do so. Mm-hmm. But I don't believe it. And he's like, all right, well, I can't say you're going to be safe. Something's probably going to happen to you this weekend. And I was like, something bad? He's like, yeah. I was like, define bad.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean? I was like when I stub my toe,
I'm going to stub my toe,
that fucking hurts.
Am I going to lose my toe?
Like that's bad to me. You know, if my video game doesn't work, that's bad to me because I need to play my video game. Like, what's bad? And he's like, well, I think so. I don't think you're going to make it through the weekend. And I was like, so you think I'm going to die? That's what you're saying? So
bold, all right.
yeah, I think you're not going to live till Monday. And I was like, all right, well, call me Monday. Call me Monday. And he called Monday, and I answered the phone, and he was completely surprised.
He was surprised.
He was
that
like,
you were
I-
alive.
Oh my God, you're still there?
He's like, I don't believe that you answered the phone. I'm like, well, I'm talking to you. Like, what? I don't know
Oh
what.
man, I would have messed with him. You're better than me. I would have messed with him. So
I would have
bad.
had Tim answer the phone and been like, no, he passed away over the weekend. Sorry.
Yeah, he's
No.
not here.
But like that, for that, those are extreme examples that I can think of where people just offered something like a prediction or something like that. Where, but the first one, that was the weakest. Just telling me 18 seasons of Ghost Adventures was proof of the afterlife. Like that was just pretty. That was as
Proof of
lame as it
terrible
could
TV.
be. And it was just horrible. I mean, over the years, I can't say like. I guess. How do I want to say this? If I wasn't looking at it from their perspective,
Mhm.
I probably would just say like a lot of the stuff because they just send me a picture, they don't bother looking at it, and they send a picture in, and it's dust particles or it's a bug. You can see the legs and this that. But I don't want to really say that or use that as an example because that sounds kind of mean because I see it from their perspective. I was a ghost hunter. I did those things. I said those things. But also, most of the people that I do interact with have no knowledge in these areas. So they, like, for taking pictures, most people know, well, there's two things. One,
Two things.
people can take their phone. They know how to turn the camera on, push the button to take a picture.
Mhm.
In the old days, that's why there's two things. The second thing is people would just use the point, shoot,
Mhm.
like point, shoot. That's basically it.
Yeah.
They push the button, again, click the shutter button, click, it clicks, they take a picture, that's it. And that's as far as their photography knowledge goes. When it comes to video editing, there's a lot of good trickery. There's a lot of basic stuff that you can do that's pretty realistic or believable to the common person.
Mhm.
So from their perspective, they're seeing something. If they see a
Like a
bug on
camera
the
trick
lens,
or something.
yeah, or even just a bug on the lens, because it's so transparent and you don't see any details.
Mhm.
Sometimes you can see the legs, but you usually see like an oval. It's not a circle orb, it's an oval orb. And as it goes around and changes direction,
A lot of hand
It goes
signs on
like
the show
that.
tonight.
I know. So like stuff like that, I realize that they don't have the knowledge to understand what they're looking at. And when they send it to me and say, I don't know what this is, sometimes it ends there, but other times it continues a little bit because they showed it to a friend who said, that's a ghost. And now they got the owner scared because the owner doesn't know what they're looking at. Their friend says with confidence, it's a ghost. And now the owner's scared because they're like, what the hell is in my house? So I don't want to, yes, it's usually weak evidence
Mhm.
because they're presenting it as evidence of something strange.
Something they don't understand.
Yes.
Okay.
But when I see it, I was like, all right, I recognize this and I can send you examples of this. And this is the most likely cause of it.
How's their reception of when like normally? How does that normally go over?
Not well.
Well, no, I mean, it's
Like 50,
mixed.
like
It's-
what?
I would say like 80-20. So 80% are relieved.
Okay.
Because I don't just say, no, it's a bug. I say, this is what I see. This is how it acts.
He
If you look
explains.
here, yeah, I enhance the video for them. I send it back to them and say, look, you can see legs here now.
Mhm.
You can see the oval actually turn when it changes directions. That's telling me that it's a solid object that's on the lens.
Mhm.
It's walking on the domed lens and creating this effect. And they're happy with that because it's not something scary anymore. Then there's a 20% where it's their friend is right, no matter what,
Right.
or it's their daughter, their son.
They wouldn't.
I mean,
no matter what age, you can't change your mind.
honestly, a good example of this is when I get sent pictures of phone apps. When someone has sent me a
Oh, yeah,
picture of a
yeah.
ghost that's from a phone app, and their claim is my daughter, my son sent me this picture, and I'm scared for her or him,
Mhm.
or they caught this in my house and now I'm worried. And when I tell them your son or daughter is playing a prank on you, most of them refuse to accept that. Even when I send them the picture of the same ghost, like I usually send a picture of me like this, and the ghost is in the palm of my hand and said, "Here's your ghost." They still won't accept the fact that their son or daughter lied to them.
I had an interesting case about speaking about that and people like faking and kids lying. For show's sake, I'm going to really narrow the story down, like really short. I had a call when you were just saying this, reminded me of it. Well, I had got a call, was investigating a house for this alleged haunting, and we actually proved that one of the kids was actually faking the haunting the whole time, and they were faking the haunting the whole time, and and I felt really awkward, like trying to tell because the parents literally packed up everything to move out of the house and had a moving truck come. The only thing that was left in the house was the heavy furniture, and we had to go there and tell them, by the way, your daughter is putting this whole facade on, like faking this whole haunting, and that was a very difficult conversation to have. But I'm actually really glad that it was actually one of my favorite cases that we ever had. Like, again, very much condensing the story, is that she was suffering from some mental health issues that were undiagnosed and some very severe depression, and decided that if she wasn't couldn't get picked on in school, and that she was thinking about self-harm if she couldn't move. And decided to fake a haunting in order to move house to change school district.
Oh, wow.
And it was just very helpful that we were able to get her help and things like that.
Yeah,
and so put her into, they were able to get her counseling and things like that. But again, having a very difficult conversation with somebody trying to say, no, I know you just hired a moving company and like 90% of your shit has been packed up.
Right.
But here's a video of your daughter actually throwing this, and they were at first like not, they were, I thought they were going to tell us to get the F out of my house. Like I wasn't sure how that was going to go over. It was a very difficult conversation to have, and a very difficult conversation to bring the daughter in to talk to her about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Side note there. Sorry.
No, that was good.
Yeah, that's a long. I could talk for an hour on that particular case.
Wow.
All right. All right.
Here's a question.
You have a question? How would you know if you're having an auditory hallucination if you say you just hear your name? I think there's literature out there, and I'm not sure, but hearing your own name is kind of common, especially in like a household. And when you have the shower going, anything that creates kind of white noise kind of thing, if you're in a shower, so many people report hearing their own name while in the shower. And I don't think it's actually hearing your name. I think it is a hallucination. But how would you know? I really don't know.
How to tell the difference between the hallucination and the truth?
If you, I would assume like the only way to really know is if you had like microphones in. I've had it where I've been in the shower and I thought like you've called my name or someone has called my name, and to the point where I'm like, what?
Yeah, did you say something? Did you call me?
Yeah, and you're not even in the house. But I never thought it was a ghost because I didn't hear it like I'm hearing like you talk or you talk now. I didn't hear it like that. It was just like that thought, like, did someone call my name?
Especially if it's your name versus if you're hearing whole sentences and conversations, and that's a whole nother story. Yeah.
Right. The Kraken was calling. It was calling with the cat. They're going, Kenny, come get me,
drink me,
bring me into the shower.
Wow.
Shauna. So I guess the thing would be, if you think something weird is going on, the first thought that comes to mind would be, let's see, how did you hear it? Let's see, Catmac. It always happens when I'm falling asleep or half awake. All right, so that's a different story now. Yeah, so you could be drifting off into a dream state where you are actually hallucinating. And I mean that's
very common.
Not uncommon. Yeah, it's very common. So I guess a simple thing that you could do, again off the top of my head, would be just have a recorder going. Place a tape recorder, a digital recorder,
Or your phone.
turn the recording software on, and have it away from you so you can't just reach out and touch it. Turn it on when you go to bed, and if you hear your name, then either when you wake up the next morning, or if you wake up then, replay the recording and see what happens.
And here's John Michael.
Most strange fun fact, it happens in about 80% of the population. Yeah. Well, I mean, I went over this at the recent video that should be coming out in the next couple days. I did with Beardo on YouTube, and Beardo actually did. It's not up yet. He gave some facts, and I did some references for that, and we talked about that thing, because one of the claims that we discussed was someone seeing things as they were falling asleep. They were in bed, pitch dark, late at night, drifting off, and they had a visual experience that was real quick and then disappeared real quick before they were fully awake. So that is something to look into. And it's definitely, yeah. I think going with the consensus here is probably your most likely cause of it, but just to be sure, do the recording thing. And that'll give you a little bit of sense of control over it, and it'll also give you some proof that nothing was said, at least audibly. Yeah, that's good. All right, next talking point. Did we finish that one? Yeah, I think we did.
I think so.
All
right, so I'm trying to word this. Trying to think of the right way to word this. Coming off
be blunt.
So when it comes to tools of the trade for ghost hunting, for paranormal investigations, how do you feel about the evidence that's captured by that, considering the fact that most of these tools are not designed for actual paranormal investigations? And then you're capturing, I'm going to use air quotations, evidence, using this tool that's not designed for capturing the paranormal.
Dave, you want to come on?
Yeah, I would love to hear
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give my take on it, and then Dave, if you're willing and you want to come on and add to it, then I will send you a link, and
I would love to hear. Yeah,
you can jump on. So the equipment that's being used, so is not the equipment that's being used is no.
Oh, come on,
are
Dave.
novelty items. They're some of them are just novelty items, and they're repeats. A lot of them are just duplicates of the same equipment under different names and usually higher prices. But I guess the main thing is that, one, they're not advertised.
He said, sure, why not?
Okay. They're not promoted as, how do I say this? They are promoted in such a way that it makes claims that they can communicate, detect, or capture spirits without actually telling you by what mechanism.
Right.
They're not telling you how. They're just saying that it could interact, and if it does interact, it's possibly paranormal activity. When these devices are put into use, there are no controls over their use. They're not controlling any variables. So, for instance,
testing or something.
With REM pods, the known variable that will set that off are two-way radios. So there is no control against someone holding a two-way radio off camera and keying it up whenever they want. And I've demonstrated in several videos that you can not only get it to go off for several seconds with different tones, but I can also make it chirp. And you can ask it a question like chirp once for yes, twice for no, and I can make it chirp at will, and have a conversation back and forth with you. So there's no control over that. So for me, the data, any data coming from that is useless, because we're not accounting for manipulation, deliberate manipulation. Give me a few minutes. All right, yeah, I'll give you a few minutes. I'll send you the link, and then you can. Do you have something to add?
No, I just want to hit your info. I said, Now, there's a difference for me too. Like when you're actually looking at some sort of like professional data logging equipment
Right.
that's just there to capture data, data points. I think something like that would be very very useful in I guess capturing capturing evidence.
Okay. Yeah, I think data loggers are great when you have good environmental tools that are capturing actual environmental data,
Exactly.
like
Yes.
atmospheric, humidity, temperature, stuff like that. Where
Three axis EMF, and at a single point.
yeah, and you're collecting all this data over a period of time, so you can see what kind of pattern there is. But simply putting a device, especially when it's a device that you don't know how it works,
Mhm.
just that you turn it on and it detects ghosts. You put that in the middle of the room and it lights up or beeps or buzzes or whatever it does, and you don't know why.
Mhm.
That's not doing any kind of science. That's not doing any kind of investigation. That is anomaly hunting, because you're putting it out there and hoping it does something. And when it does, you're like, paranormal. And there's just no investigation behind it whatsoever. All right, so let me see. Where is Dave? Where are you? I'm going to send her through the 3TS chat we got. There we go. What is this? Grammarly. I don't want to pay for that. Get out of there. Grammarly trying to charge me $12 a month to make me sound better. That's why I have editors. Damn it. Oh, that was quick. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Hey guys.
What's up, buddy?
Nice.
What's up, bitch?
Oh, I'll just say it's nice to see you again.
Hello.
But never mind.
So that question, you want to repeat the question, and then
I forgot how I worded it now.
Well, you can word it differently for him.
No, so what's your opinion on like the tools of the trade that aren't necessarily designed for paranormal investigations? And I guess like their use and collection of data and evidence.
So ones that are not designed to be ghost hunting devices, which there's no such thing as a ghost
As a
hunting
ghost
device.
Yeah.
So
You know what I meant.
yeah, I know what you meant. But regardless if it's a EMF meter, they say is for ghost hunting. It's not for ghost hunting. It's for detecting electromagnetic fields, right?
Right.
So I think it really depends on what they're using it for. Why are you using it? What leads you to want to try to investigate that piece of or use that piece of equipment to investigate a ghost or a haunting? What's the rationale for it? So that's one. So you got to have some reason for it. So, some people have reported, for example, like when they have a ghostly experience, they feel like the temperature dropped. Okay, that's a reason to use a non-contact thermometer that data logs, that you could correlate it with an experience you had. So there's got to be a reason for it and something you're trying to measure. So there's a lot of things that people have reported. If you look through the historical literature and what people even report to you in a modern case, or if you're going to go into a private home or a business, or even a public investigation, people report certain things. They say, the temperature drop, or I felt like static electricity in the room. Those are things you can objectively measure with equipment that is designed to measure those specific changes in the environment. So there's got to be a reason for it.
Okay.
And then the whole key is data logging, I think. I mean, I'm a big proponent of data logging, so you can correlate it with the experience, because if you're just collecting random data and there's spikes or drops in the environment, okay, great. That happens everywhere. There's an up and down, there's changes in environmental readings all the time. So what you really need to do is data log that and then try to correlate it with something that somebody experiences. So you're trying to say, okay, if I felt a drop in temperature, was it really a drop in temperature, or was it an ion change, or was it something else? Was it a static electricity change? So I think you got to do a couple things. You got to data log it. You got to have a reason for it. You got to data log it, and then you got to try to correlate it with what people are reporting. One other example is people say that, I saw this luminous ghost. It had a light to it. Well, there's things called light meters that should be able to pick up those changes. But again, you got to be able to correlate it with something that's going on, and sometimes that's not easy. You need to do somewhat of at least a basic level of statistical analysis to see if there's something going on in the environment. So, do I think people should do it and data log? Yes, with the appropriate equipment, quality equipment, but you need to data log it and you need to know how to analyze it.
Nice. Yeah, because I mean, if there is the temperature drop thing is a good example, because somebody's in a place that they already believe is haunted,
right?
And say they hear a noise and it startles them, they get scared. They're going to get a shiver because that scare, that feeling of being scared, and you're going to have the goosebumps kind of thing, which increases the surface area, which means you're going to feel a chill. And we can say, hey, look, we have a data logger monitoring the temperature in that room. There was no change.
All those years we did private homes and other locations, even public places, and people reported a change in temperature. When we had a non-contact data logger running for temperature, not once did we ever detect a drop in temperature. There were a couple times where there was changes in the electromagnetic field, but there were other times when there's changes in the static electricity or the ion counts, which could simply have just been your body responding to some sort of ambiguous or anomalous, no, not anomalous, ambiguous change in some environmental factor that your body was interpreting as a change in temperature. So we've never detected a temperature drop.
Okay.
That's really interesting. Yeah. That's cool. That's really neat, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, thanks for coming on, man.
All right. I'm free to go. Can I just go back to listening?
You can return to your regularly scheduled program.
All right. Good to see you, Aaron. Take it easy, guys. Bye, guys. Bye, Kenny.
Bye-bye. That was fun.
That was nice.
I always enjoy talking to Dave. I mean, we do butt heads sometimes, but we can do it and not actually get mad at each other.
Right.
We have a conversation, and like we realize sometimes that I'm wrong, sometimes he's wrong, and we realize it, or just we have different opinions, and we agree to disagree. We all don't get me started on that shit. We also understand sometimes because there's been a few times we've talked past each other, like we're talking about almost the same thing but in different terms. But I always enjoy.
I was trying to clear up that term, the evidence term. It just we use it for. I view that term as a different way than other people would view it.
And it's always good to talk to Dave because he makes me think. I like that. I do enjoy it. Except when my head hurts. Could a temperature drop just be a cool breeze blowing through? Yeah.
It depends on how your body, like Dave was saying, it depends on how your body interprets it.
Right. Right. And it might be just a cooler area. I mean, I'm sure many of us have experienced a basement where you go down to the basement and it's cold, especially if it's like open, like a rock wall kind of basement. It's going to be cooler. Or if you go up into the attic, it's warmer.
It's going to be hot.
And that's just the natural way houses and these rooms work. So you might have a cooler area than the rest of the house. And if you walk into it.
If your heater clicks on and off because of a temperature change.
Right.
So there is a slight temperature change going on all the time.
And it's good to have that data logger on because now you can track that. And also, I mean, that would be something to keep track of. When does the thermostat kick on? Or the air conditioning or the heater? When does that kick on? And we can correlate that time with the data logging temperature changes and say, all right, well, the heater went on. That's why we have a steady increase in temperature over the next couple minutes here. So good questions. All right. What do we got? We're doing good. We got time. All right. Time. What else you got?
So you want some questions? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Do you want to try one in here?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Let's just come on.
Last Rights. Hello. What are your thoughts on witness testimony and how do you think of it in comparison, paranormal versus legal, testimony should be weighed equally to, example, DNA, fingerprints, etc.
Well, witness testimony, it is the most compelling evidence for a jury. Like a jury loves witness testimony. They love someone to sit on the stand and go, that's the guy who did it right there. That's the guy who I saw. But however, it is actually the most least reliable. There's been many documented cases where there's been, I'm going to use quotations, not expert testimony. That's different. Like an eyewitness who then points somebody out in the stand and they get sentenced later to be acquitted because of DNA evidence.
Right.
So it is the most compelling, again, when it comes to a jury, but it is actually not. It's least reliable.
I would strongly suggest you stop by the Innocence Project website. Take a look at that, because that's exactly what he was saying there. It deals with people that were imprisoned for crimes they didn't commit. They were, and I think the last time I looked, there was 132 cases that they have resolved through DNA evidence that were. All 132 cases were primarily based on eyewitness testimony for the conviction. That was either the primary or I don't know the right terminology, but the main evidence against
the main source of evidence,
right?
The main source of the conviction,
which convicted them and sentenced them to prison. And some of the sentences were like from 3 or 4 years to 30 or 40 years.
I've seen it before for people who were on death row who got their sentences overturned because of DNA and false, whether it be another reason or another, from false accusations or false confessions, things like that.
And I mean, in my experience, again, this is in my experience, eyewitness testimony is a start. I don't consider it, it's not concrete evidence, it's a start, because people will tell me stories, and if you take it at face value, then it can sound like a fantastic story. But once you start asking more clarifying questions, some of those fantastic parts start crumbling down because they realize they don't have the information. There's also a problem of filling in the gaps of experiences when you don't have all the information. People have a tendency, it's often not deliberate, but they have a tendency of filling in the gaps with what they believed happened rather than what they actually witnessed happen. And
their biases will fill that in.
Their biases
too.
yes.
So yes.
Yeah.
It wants to fill in the gap. And a lot of times, like for me, people want to be helpful. Like they want to help the investigation. They want to help the police. So they will sometimes say things they don't mean or misinterpret things, or well, I'm pretty sure that was the guy, so I'm going to say that that's the guy. Because they want to be helpful. They want to solve a problem.
Right. And what else?
I'm going to say, and there is a difference though between in testimony when it comes to that I guess like different types of evidence between testimony and expert testimony. So there is a difference. Like when someone on a stand for an expert, like someone who's an expert in DNA, will come up and actually will talk to the jury about DNA. They're not necessarily testifying to the evidence itself, but maybe like how it was collected and how it's interpreted and what it means.
Okay.
So sometimes there is different types of experts. So they may have an expert in gunshots and gunshot residue, and an expert in like blood splatter patterns.
Yeah.
So they can go and say, no, that means this person was standing because it was captured X, Y, and Z. So that way they can interpret the evidence for the jury. But they're not saying the person did it. This person did it.
They're interpreting the data.
They're
interpreting the data.
They're interpreting the data.
So that we understand it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is a difference. But that brings me to a question for you about.
But wait.
Okay.
So I have one more point.
Okay.
To bring up that people make mistakes.
Yes, they do.
That's why I don't take eyewitness testimony at face value, because people make mistakes, and anyone, and I'm sure my lovely wife can attest that she'll tell me things sometimes, and I'm like, who said that?
I said that?
What do you mean they say? Who's they?
He does it all.
And that's not because necessarily I think you're lying to me. I don't think that.
Wants to be a
Do you see what I put up with? I see. You're a
lucky
man.
There's sometimes when I'm just like, leave that at work.
I
Like,
can't
just
turn it
leave
off.
it at
It's
work.
who I am. It's who I am.
You're like,
But no,
who said?
People
They
will make
said,
mistakes,
who's they?
misinterpret, or rely on something that somebody else told them. And that happens a lot.
Second
where,
hand story, yes, and yep.
like my brother, sister's cousin, college roommate, Spaceballs, said,
Energy.
what I saw was definitely absolutely 100% a demon, and he based that on 18 seasons of Ghost Adventures. So
So it might
there.
be true.
So it might be
Energy.
true. Energy. Did I say energy?
No, I said
Oh,
it
you
twice.
did.
Energy.
You ignored me the first time.
So, I mean, I'll take that story, I'll write it down, I'll record it, and then I will start looking at it and asking more clarifying questions or fact checking, especially if they tell me like an event happened here, like somebody died in this house. Let me look it up. Do you have a name? Do you have a date? Let me look it up and see. And sometimes, it pans out.
Yep.
What they said was accurate. Sometimes it wasn't, and you find out later that it was hearsay. They were just retelling a story and didn't realize it was false. So,
Here's a good one.
Puerto Rican, what's up, buddy? I don't make mistakes, just happy accidents. Bob Ross. Bob Ross is the man.
I like
So
that.
go ahead.
Just
What's
My question was going to be about personal health. You answered the question I was going to ask.
oh okay
About eyewitness accounts and personal testimony.
okay yeah
Oh, good.
Because like when somebody says something like someone has a personal experience, it's real to them. Like that
Right.
really happened to them, and their feelings are real, and how they felt and how they experienced it. It was all real.
right
But there's no way to prove it, and there's no way to almost show like what how do you know you weren't hallucinating, how do you know it wasn't this, how do you know, like there's a million different excuses, reasons, excuses, things that we can come up with for that reason, for
Right.
whatever they experienced.
right. So yeah, I agree. People have, when they have some kind of experience that is unimaginable or hard to believe, or that they would consider. I mean, and this is across the board here, not just
Not just
paranormal,
paranormal,
supernatural, but like
Everything, yeah.
accidents or loss of life or something like that, where they have experiences and they interpret it a certain way. The emotions are real, the feelings are real, and they really, they're trying to process everything.
Mhm.
And sometimes you don't have all the information, and there's assumptions that are made on the fly.
Right.
And that's why I don't dismiss people out of hand.
Well, you can't really. I mean,
Unless their name is Zach Baggins,
Oh.
then I dismiss them. But yeah, you can't dismiss somebody
Yeah.
just because they're telling you a story, because to them they had an experience,
That's what happened to them.
right? And I'm not gonna refute that they had an experience. Something happened to them. I just don't know what it was, and they can tell me,
Mhm.
and I'm still not sure what it was.
We've all had. I mean, I could tell you
Right.
hundreds of stories of, well, not hundreds, but dozens of stories of things that I've experienced. Where I have no explanation for. I have no idea, how that happened or what it was, and it just means I can't explain it.
Right, and that's
It's
cool.
unexplainable.
That's
I
what
can't
That's
explain
okay.
where my
it's
keys went,
unexplained,
It's unexplained.
not unexplainable.
I'm sorry. Yes, I don't have enough data to explain it at the time.
Right.
Yeah, sorry. It's unexplainable.
He doesn't have enough
Yeah,
It's
sorry.
evidence.
unexplained.
Yeah. Wait, what'd you say?
He doesn't have enough evidence.
Okay.
Oh, but yeah, I mean that's the way I look at those.
Yes. Sorry.
I
misspoke.
don't. No, it's
Yeah,
it's
it's
cool.
unexplainable.
I don't. It's unexplained.
Yeah, I said. Oh, so it's not unexplainable.
Unexplainable
It's not
means
there's
it
no
can never
explanation.
be explained.
Never any explanation.
Never.
Yes.
Unexplained means I don't have enough information
Yet
yet
to determine what
to
it is.
determine what it is, and we're gonna file it. We're gonna wait till later.
Yeah.
New information comes up, we open the case up.
Yeah, and we can figure.
Like,
We can try to figure what it is.
Look at this. We dust it off. Oh, look at this. We got new information. Let's solve this case.
Yep.
All right. Next talking point.
Next talking. Well,
What
do
about if
you have any
like,
questions?
spin the
You want to
wheel?
spin the wheel?
Oh, you want to spin the wheel?
Yeah.
What are we
Like
doing?
10
We never
10.
discussed what we're gonna do.
Well, let's come up with a hashtag.
Let's come up with a hashtag. You come
guys
up with a
wanna spin the
hashtag.
wheel?
Let's. What code word would you want to use?
I got one
What is it? Go ahead.
here. Hashtag poo.
Hashtag poo from the fossil poo. Hashtag poo.
All right, so I'm gonna do
P-O-O.
hashtag POO.
POO.
If you want to spin the wheel, Aaron will spin.
I'll spin the wheel. Yeah.
All right, put hashtag poo in, not evidence, John
No
without an
evidence,
H.
No data. You're all
Not data. Last right.
Make it easier. Poo.
Poo.
Oh.
That's a good one. Hashtag
Feral Golf Gal. How you doing? Good to see you. Oh
We can do
man.
a question while they're
We can
all
do a question.
pooing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This will give us time to collect
Here's
all the poo.
this came up while you guys were talking.
Jadekin, is it really true that there's no proof all fingerprints are unique? I don't remember where I heard that, but they said it was just an accepted fact, but has never been proven.
From my understanding, is that fingerprints they're all unique. There is an odd because nothing is 100% like there is the chance that people's fingerprints can be very similar. It all depends on there's different points, different I think what they call them minutia points in the fingerprints. So sometimes if you get a partial print, there may be different. The minutia points may be very similar.
Right. Right.
So it's and the odds are astronomical in order to have people who have the same fingerprints.
So the great Google says yes, fingerprints are generally considered unique to each individual, while new studies suggest that some fingerprints may share subtle similarities. The overall uniqueness of fingerprints remains a strong foundation for biometric identification.
Isn't that so freaking cool when you think about it?
It
Every
is.
person.
Billions of people.
I heard everyone has a different ear, like a different ear too.
That is, so Joe Nickell
Mhm.
did that. He went into that. He wrote a nice article about it
About
years
ears.
ago about
About
ears.
ears?
He
Yeah.
identified there was a case. There was a case that he worked on where it was twins. No, yeah, it was twins. I think.
Mhm.
I think it was twins. It was two guys that one was mistaken for the other and arrested, and they were able to
like Japan or
identify
something,
them
right? Wasn't
with ears.
it like Japan or
It
China or
was-
something?
no, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was two black guys.
Okay.
And they looked exactly alike, and I think it turned out that they were twins. They just didn't know it.
Will West.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Tim.
Tim's in the chat.
Reference
The unsung
to
hero, obscure reference man.
Will West.
Will West, yes. So yeah, it came up. He did that, and he identified them through the ears, which is awesome.
Was it the twins had same fingerprints, or
All fingerprint. So let me
what
see.
happened with that story? I don't.
I don't know if it
Why
was.
did they
I
have
think
to
it was.
look at ears?
I can't tell the whole story. I don't have it.
Oh,
Let me.
yeah, now
Will
we gotta
West.
look it up.
Joe.
They were related, but
Nickel.
not twins. Thank
Okay.
you, Tim.
Joe Nickell, Will West. It's probably in the archives, so it's not coming up on my search. I will find the article and I'll post it.
Yeah,
I'll
like,
post it
I'm
for
Yeah,
everyone.
I'd like
curious
to
now,
read
like,
that. Yeah,
why,
I really want to
Yeah.
know
why
about
would
that
you
now.
have to look at the ears
They were
if
related,
you
but not
had
twins.
fingerprints?
So I don't know if they were able to do fingerprints at the time. I don't know if that was available. I'm not sure. I don't remember the details of the story. I
Okay.
just remember they were identified by their ears, which was kind of cool. But also kind of remember that, but remember that so much of fingerprint identification in the early days was done by eye.
Mhm.
So
A lot of it actually still is because
Still
it
is,
needs to be done like
People
it's
still have to look at it.
yeah it's not like and they can like what you see on TV.
Or
You're
you
not
put
gonna
it
believe
in
it. You put
the
database
computer and it's like,
it goes through.
dude, I want those big
It's-
glass panels.
Yeah, they actually have magnifying glasses and actually go down and look at the minutia points and compare and contrast and have to do it manually because that person you can't have a computer do it because that person has to give their expert testimony as to what say that this is the same fingerprint as this.
Right. And that's, I think that's the problem because again, it goes back to the idea that people make mistakes.
Mhm.
Even professionals can make mistakes still. So if
Mhm.
it's very close, then it could be a
Or a
mistake.
partial print.
Yeah, a partial print. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
partials
All right.
would be
So I
hard.
think we got it's
Yeah,
not
let's
going up
go.
anymore.
Okay, let's go spin the wheel.
So
Hey,
let's
Ron,
hold
spin.
on. Let's share the screen because we got to
Oh,
pick
yeah,
first.
okay.
Share window, share poo.
Sure, sure,
Here we go. So we're gonna hit the draw button,
Good
and
luck, everybody.
there we go. There we go. Who we got? Who we got? Who is it?
Slowing down. Slowing down.
Who is it? Who is it? Pinky!
Pinky.
Woohoo!
Go,
Pinky
Pinky.
won. Pinky unicorn. All right. So
Let's see what they
let
win.
me see. Let me stop sharing so we can watch you.
Spin the wheel. Spin the
Pinky.
window.
See what they get.
Goodies.
Here we go.
All right.
Here we go, Pinky.
Kind of weak spin, but okay.
I didn't want to break your wheel.
Weak.
He wanted to make sure it went around and
Man
then
up.
one.
Oh, skeptical.
Help.
Oh, help our
Book.
Bookmark.
marker. Oh, bookmarker. You're gonna get a bookmarker.
And he doesn't even know what he put on the wheel.
No idea. I forget. I've changed it so many times. All right. So you are going to get a bookmarker, which is
Let me see your little-
I wrote it. I did write it down.
your
I don't think-
pennies.
I don't think I have an example in front of me, but I did a new design. So you're going to get
Ooh,
the first of the new designs.
4.
And it's
Easy.
it actually said, do I have it? Maybe I do. Do I have one? Oh, I do. I do.
Nice.
So I'm going to give you a choice here
Oh.
because these are the ones I just
see-
put
see
together.
if you can look at your screen.
So
And he's going to put them up.
these are the new ones. New design that I have. So I really like them.
So you either get a black
Black,
rectangle,
yeah.
black triangle, or the burgundy.
Yeah, let me know which one that you want, and I will get that out to you next week. So there you go. So
She said
triangle.
they will have
black
to
or
come to New Zealand. That's okay.
red. That's okay. I don't pay for it.
It's all good.
It's all good. Just email
Black
me
triangle, please.
black triangle. Okay. So I'm going to put that aside for you
And I have Kenny Biddle's
Email?
going across the bottom.
right there.
kbiddle@centerforinquiry.org.
Send me an email with all your address information so that I can get it to you, and then I'll send it out next week. Awesome.
Speaking of packages, ours should be delivered tomorrow.
Yes, I love packages. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
I love getting packages. It makes me so happy. I have no idea. Especially when when it comes here, it's like an event because like if they see that I have a package, like Vance and Tim and Eric, they're all gathered around. They want to see like, what'd you get? I'm like, I don't know. Let's see, open it up. But first, we always check. No ticking.
They don't make
Okay.
you go out on the patio. See, I
No.
would make you go out on the
No.
patio.
Open
No.
it outside and
They-
up in a well-vented area.
Aaron, there were times.
There were
Yes.
times. Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah. All right. So
So
let's take our break because we are at the 2-hour
Oh my
mark,
gosh.
and we get to play Donna's song this time
Oh.
and take a short break, and we will be back with a little
Hey,
bit more.
Aaron.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, Aaron.
It's so much fun when you're here.
I have a package coming too.
What?
Thank you, Diana. Oh yeah, when is it? That should be here soon. I hope.
All right. So wait, Donna's song. So we got 2.5 minutes. So we'll see you in 2.5 minutes from now.
In the skeptical helper, there's a guiding star, keeping chats in line. She's the queen of the bar, with a wink and a smile. She keeps things flowing. Divine Donna's on the scene to keep you from trolling. Divine Donna, watch her keep the show on track. Moderates with flair, she's got your back. With her love, Kenny Biddle every Friday night. In the skeptical help bar, she's a delight. Start your questions with a capital Q, so Donna can pose them for you. Follow the Swayze rule and be nice, or she'll kick you out for life. Divine Donna, watch her keep the show on track. Moderates with flair, she's got your back. With her love, Kenny Biddle every Friday night. In the skeptical help bar, she's a delight. unlike her hubby, doesn't let the show run into hour 3. She may be quiet, but she reads all the chats, so say hi or thanks, she deserves that. Divine Donna, watch her keep the show on track. Moderates with flair, she's got your back. With her love, Kenny Biddle every Friday night. In the Skeptical Help Bar, she's a delight. Rarely says a word, unlike her hubby, doesn't let the show run into hour 3. She may be quiet, but she reads all the chats, so say hi or thanks, she deserves that. Divine Donna, watch her keep the show on track. Moderates with flair, she's got your back. With her love, Kenny Biddle every Friday night. In the Skeptical Help Bar, she's a delight. The Skeptical Help Bar, she's a delight.
Oh,
Thank
hey!
you. We're back.
Yeah. Whew. We're talking shit about all you. I'm kidding. All right. We are back. What are we doing here?
We are going to do a new session called Ask the Cop.
Oh,
So we have Aaron here.
we have Aaron. We're our official police officer of the
Yes.
Skeptical Help Bar.
So we thought, well, what better time to ask the cop a question if you wanted to ask a cop?
Say that again. A cop a question?
Cop a question.
Jewish?
Did I say
Yeah, a
that
little.
bad?
It wasn't that bad.
There was a little.
He's just picking on you.
There was
Yes.
a
Yeah,
little.
Do you want to ask a cop a question?
Yeah, because like, I know a lot of times.
There it is. I heard it.
I think
All
I
right.
just said it so
Yeah,
fast.
yeah. People always come up and ask, "Hey, I have a question. I have a question. What about?" So I always like to preface, "Hey, do you have any questions?" Like a lot of times that like us. It's not a question.
That's why she vapes a lot.
That's funny.
Oh
Oh
man.
man.
All right.
But
So-
in the meantime, when people are coming up with those questions, they're coming up with them. What do you think about? How do you think? How did I word this earlier?
I don't know.
Oh, what responsibility do you think skeptics have
Oh.
when it comes to when people present bad evidence to you?
For me, if they present bad evidence, then I think the responsibility is to talk about it and find out to understand why they think it's good evidence, first of all, and if the process, the path that they went along to determine that it was good evidence is filled with flaws. Slap them. See, Tim's like slap them. If the path is filled with flaws, let's talk about it and say, well, you know what? You said this. Like, this is a reason that you gave for why you believe it's true. Let's look at this. Let's look at this one point here first and go into it. Can we look this up? I think using that approach is a less confrontational way of doing it.
Okay.
And it will open up a conversation that's a better approach than me going, no, you're wrong, you got that wrong, you got that wrong, you got that wrong. Because people do not like being told that they're wrong. I know I do. I hate being told
Oh
I'm
my
wrong.
God.
Yeah.
Well, and if I'm told I'm wrong, I will obsess over it to figure out, one, if I am wrong,
Right. And why they think I
and
am.
why, or if I'm right, why do they think I'm wrong?
Wait, why do they think that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
But yeah, I think that's my responsibility in order to help us understand like what's going. And again, we're on the assumption that it's bad evidence that's being presented.
Mhm.
So there's reasons for the bad evidence. So I think it's my responsibility in order to point out what those reasons are. You are wrong about my driving. I have witnesses. Shush. Park the car. Park the fucking car, Daniel. Dude, we went around the park over and over. Like the
Tell me more
third
about it.
time. I'm
You're
like,
like, what the fuck are you doing?
what are you doing? I'm waiting for a good spot. There's open spots. I was
Wait,
right in the
he was
face.
looking for the good spot.
The good spot.
He was waiting for the good spot. There.
We're gonna circle until the guy that has that first parking spot.
Hey, you have to
comes out.
realize he's from West Virginia. We're from Philadelphia. You
You'd
don't
be
have
lucky
a
if-
lot of parking spots
You'd
in
be lucky
Philadelphia.
if you get a spot. Yeah.
You have to grab
There's a spot. Take what you
grab
can
a
get.
spot.
Grab us.
Sometimes
grab-
you fight for a spot.
You grab the fucking spot, Daniel. Where were we? What were we
Talking
oh,
you have it.
responsibilities. Yeah. So
Responsibility.
with the assumption that it is bad evidence, then I think it's my responsibility that if they're engaging me,
Mhm.
or if they're engaging the public, then I feel responsible. And this is just me. I'm not saying this is for all skeptics, but I think for me, my responsibility is to try to get good information out there about why it's bad evidence. And if it is bad evidence because of bad collection methods
Mhm.
or just bad data, why it's bad data, why it doesn't actually demonstrate what they claim it's demonstrating, I want to get that information out there because, again, it's either engaged with me, so they came to me,
Mhm.
or they're engaging the public. And if I don't say anything, then the public is going to go away thinking that it's good evidence.
Right.
It's presented that way, especially if the person presenting bad evidence is confident. Confidence is a big deal when you're presenting something, when you're trying to influence people.
Right. You're very confident about it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's easy when you're confident. Yes, people will believe you more because you are so confident in what you're saying. So I want to.
It's not about what you say, but how you
Yeah.
say it a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's why I'm so anal about making sure I have the right information. And if somebody says something wrong, I have the papers, the studies, the whatever recreations, whatever I need to demonstrate. Like, no, this is flawed. This is why, because I don't want the public to walk away with that bad information thinking it's good.
Okay.
Because I think that's irresponsible of me, because I do try to promote science. I do try to promote critical thinking and reasoning and logic and all this. And if I were to sit there and do nothing, then I'm doing a disservice to the public because I'm not speaking up.
Right.
There you go.
I like it.
I'm off my soapbox now.
Yeah, right. I mean, you got started, you got all red and shit.
I
like
know.
it. That's good.
Well, that's because of Daniel's parking. I love Daniel. Don't get me wrong. I know I make fun of him, but I love Daniel dearly, and I'm looking forward to seeing him. Can Donna borrow your vacation from Kenny?
I can see Kenny now chained to the basement. You know, chained to the pipe in the basement.
Did I ever show you the picture?
No.
The picture
electronic.
from let me see if I have this. I know I have it because it's in my screensaver. But there, what is this? There it goes. All right, so let me look. There's a picture of me
Mm-hmm.
and backgrounds where I am. Oh, there it is.
There you are.
So I'm going to show this. This is at the Belair House.
Oh, I remember this picture.
And this was an idea from the ghost hunters. I'm going to show everyone there. That's me, handcuffed with my
To a
fat
pole.
gut sticking out, handcuffed to a pole. These are handcuffs right here, handcuffed to a pole in the basement of this house because the ghost hunters had the idea that the basement was the most haunted place. It had demons in it. There was a rule of the house that no one could be down there alone. Like when you signed up and you rented the place, that was one of the rules. You weren't allowed to do it. They got permission from the owner that night to let us go down there by ourselves.
Okay.
So we did, and they wanted badly. This
Put
was
the
me.
skeptic in the basement.
Me, Side Eye Guy, and Dawson Toller were all at our own times handcuffed to this pole, sitting on the chair, and there's video of me. I think Seg had video of me, and I'm there. My head's against the pole because at this moment I'm going, I've made so many bad choices in my life. This tops them. I am in the basement of a house in Ohio, handcuffed to a pole in a house with people that I just met today. And I let them do this to me. What the hell is wrong with me? I don't
My
know.
wife's never gonna see me again.
And I'm sitting there, and I know there's like 10 minutes of me like contemplating my life choices.
How long were you like that?
It was
for?
about 10 minutes.
That's it.
Yeah, it wasn't that
So what's the next
long.
question? Does rag smell like chloroform to you, sir? Like, what a blood type are you? You know?
I mean, the whole novelty of
Could
it,
have totally gone wrong.
Yeah.
because they're all like, oh, it's supposed to be the most haunted demon, and there's
What's the
portals
point
and
of the
shit.
handcuffs? I don't understand.
Yeah,
So you
well,
couldn't get away. It was to show that you were vulnerable, that there was somebody down there that couldn't get away. So if
Wouldn't
the
the
demons
demon
wanted,
in the basement just be enough? Like, the
You would think.
demon's not enough that you have to be handcuffed to a pole.
I know, right? So the demon can torture you? Like, I don't get it.
it
I
was,
mean, did you dance around the pole for the demon?
I
I mean,
did
like,
not.
like what else happened? Like,
You
you dance around the pole for
I
the,
think
for the
at
demon? I
one
mean,
point I was begging, please, if there is a demon, please take me. just drag me down the hell so I'm not in here anymore.
You're a little Miss Mayhem.
Ah,
Just enough time to question his life choice.
that
Exactly.
is the truth.
That's the moment right there. And I'm like, fuck. What am I doing here?
I like this. So, wait, so who took the picture?
That's a still frame. off
Okay,
one
so,
of the
so
cameras.
you were in there by yourself.
So no, there's
and-
cameras.
I'm
No,
saying,
no, no.
but you were in there by yourself.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
I'm in there by myself. That was the point. Like,
And no demons.
be there, helpless, not being able to get away, alone in a basement where there's demons and portals to somewhere and all kinds of weird stuff that happened. So
Nothing happened.
and
nothing happened. I mean, I did this. Side Eye Guy did it, and he was like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing down here. He was pretty much the same way. And Dawson was down there, and we startled him for a fraction of a second because you don't see it here, but there is a REM pod somewhere close by.
Okay.
And while he was down here at the end of his session, I tiptoed over to the floor right above him, and I keyed up my two-way radio, so it went off, and
Scared.
I know he
Startled him.
jumped a little bit, but then he realized it was me, and I heard him yell like, "Kenny!"
Knock your shit off.
Yeah. That was I wasn't invented for it yet. Did you feel a little bit scared? Maybe a spider? No, I mean, I really didn't. I was just, I was
Contemplating
bored. I was bored, and yeah, I complained. I don't remember exactly what I said.
Wait,
But
wait. Who brought the handcuffs?
I know.
So
Who's
Like,
idea was this?
I have more questions now than I thought I did when you started the
it
story.
was, so they came from a guy, Josh. Again,
He brought them to a paranormal investigation.
I didn't know he existed until that night.
And you let him
I
handcuff
just
you.
met him.
and you let him
and-
handcuff you.
And they were like, and I think he wasn't the only one. I think Dawson brought handcuffs
Hey,
too.
Ron, do you think that's a bad idea?
I would not let some stranger handcuff me in their basement. I'm just saying. I'm
not
pretty
even
sure
their
that's how I
house.
saw. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's how a lot of horror movies start. I
know,
mean, at least some organ harvesting or something.
Now this is coming from a cop, Kenny. So next time, think twice before you get handcuffed to a pole.
Yeah, well, I wanted to try it, but I was bored. I think by the end, I was ready to doze off. I was like, it's
Were
dark.
you really looking around like, how can I get out of here if they leave me?
No, well, I wasn't really worried because I mean, it's a support pole.
I was
So-
going to ask, is that a support beam? Is that a
Yeah,
support column beam?
it's a. So if you look, let me show everyone so they know what we're looking at. if you look down at the bottom here,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like that's not drilled into the. That's just sitting on the cinder
Oh,
blocks.
it's okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so-
you just had knocked the cinder block.
I mean,
over
if I sneezed, I think I could pull the bottom of this out.
And the whole house just collapsed.
Yeah.
So
The steps
You're
fall.
in the
on
Then
spot.
it
you.
would fall. You know, I didn't really give a shit.
at least you didn't go to the bottom. Hey, there's in the bottom of this well.
Right.
There's a ghost of
Right.
a demon girl. You gotta go. You gotta go to
The
the bottom
house
of the
jack.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So I wasn't concerned about not being able to get out.
Okay, good.
I knew I could, but all right. So there's a part of my life that I want to forget. So what else we got?
We don't have
Um,
any, you guys don't have any questions.
No questions for
the
a cop?
cop?
Like
no
nothing?
cop
Like normally,
questions?
every time I go to a party, it's always like, I got a question. What about this? And what about, like, they always ask all these questions. So.
Yeah. this
Should
is
every
like,
ghost hunter
you know,
have handcuffs in their gear? Leanne. Well, depends on what you're
Possibly.
doing.
fluffy one?
I don't.
There we go, especially the fluffy
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
Well,
That's one thing I don't have.
I don't
I
think
have-
you should have handcuffs in your gear. I
I
don't
have,
think that's a good idea.
I have gloves.
Mhm.
I have rubber gloves.
At least you didn't go.
I have evidence containers. I think I have labels. That might be where my labels are.
You better be careful. You won't be getting your.
Bushy Mountain, get handcuffed at Bushy Mountain prison. Oh, that's funny.
I have luminol, just in case.
For blood.
I need the fingerprint
Gotta get your
powder.
fingerprint
That
good.
would be good to have. And then I have like my anemometer meter that I told you about. I have that in there. I have lights, cameras, stands, stuff like that. But just levels, quite a few levels, just to make sure.
Here's
But-
a question for you.
When you first meet someone, is it okay to let them handcuff you in the basement?
If your name is Kenny Biddle, I would say absolutely yes. That there's no problem with that whatsoever at all.
Like that was the second dumb thing that I did. Well, I mean, that was
What
the
was
biggest.
the first?
That was
Say, what was the first one?
that was.
Wait a
So,
minute.
it wasn't as intense. They made me do that Estes method, where they, you
With the headphones
with the
on.
headphones and stuff. And they were like, "Oh, come on, do it. You're a skeptic, and you could say you at least tried." And I was like, "It's stupid, but
Yeah.
all right, fine, I'll try it." And I sat there and I did it, and I think Dawson got mad because I was I started naming the songs, like I
Right.
was hearing, and I was able to pick out what was being
played?
and I was like, "Oh, that's Johnny Cash," and he's like, "Stop naming it." So yeah.
At least they weren't looking at your tattoos saying they're going to look really funny on their lamps. I mean, that would be
Wow.
cool.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. What else do we got? What do you got on your list?
So I want to talk about what is like for me and for court cases and things like that. It's beyond a reasonable doubt, and for an arrest, it's probable cause, which would mean it's more probable than not Death did it, but not beyond a reasonable doubt to make an arrest. Like, where do you stand as evidence when it pertains to, I guess, like the evidence totality of a case making it true?
So I guess
Does that make sense?
I think so. I mean, I look at it and see what keeps piling on. Like, let me look at this claim. Let me look at that claim. Whether it be like an historical claim
Mhm.
of like somebody lived there, died there, worked there, whatever, to this door was torn off its hinges out of there. Like, those are different things to look at, but if that all happens at the same place, I would go in there and say, all right, well, did the person that you named, did they actually live here? Did they work here? Do we have any documentation that shows this?
So actually shows them there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So no. Okay. And we're going to go with no right now. No. Okay. So we don't have any evidence that supports the idea that they were in this house. Let's go to the other claim. And this, I guess the overall claim is that the place is haunted.
Okay.
All right. So that's one claim. This person was there. We think that's the ghost. We go to the other claim, the door was ripped off its hinges. Okay, we can inspect the door frame.
Right.
All right.
Yeah,
Is it the original door frame? Yes. Is there damage? Is there repair damage? No. Okay. For those two, is it the original door? We can look at that. Yes, it's the original door. Look at the hinges, how it's connected to the door and the door frame. Everything is original. Okay, great. Another claim, and anyone picking up on this is the Amityville house, but like the banister, the stairway going up to the hallway, second floor hallway. There's a claim that the banister was ripped off, or just pushed off and just ripped off and it destroyed. Evidence of that? No. We looked at it. Everything's original. Nothing was repaired. It's all original to the house. Okay. So with those three examples, the compiling evidence says none of this happened. None of the claims happened. Therefore, right now, based on the evidence that we've investigated, there is no reason to claim this place is haunted.
Okay.
And I would continue, like if there's other claims, of course, we'd continue
Investigate
with
each
those.
claim individually as it stands on its own.
Right. But as of those three, if that's the only three claims that were presented.
So
then,
you're more like preponderance of the evidence.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Good.
Okay.
I feel like I'm passing a test here. I'm taking a test. Like, is that a good answer? Did I pass?
No, that's a good answer.
Okay, good.
No, so what for you? What would be the difference between anecdotal evidence and admissible evidence?
Well, admissible.
Mhm.
That's good. So
It's like Quiz Kenny night.
Yeah, right.
I guess. All right. So anecdotal is, to me, that's more story time. That sounds kind of mean saying it that way.
No, I don't.
It's one person's perspective of events that transpired.
Mhm.
They're giving you their version of the events, and to me, that's anecdotal. That's their version. Maybe they didn't see everything that happened. Maybe they didn't have the best view. Maybe they weren't actually in the room. They're just telling you the noises they heard from downstairs.
Okay.
So they didn't have direct line of sight to it. They weren't in the room. So it's more anecdotal. It's not more. It is anecdotal.
Mhm.
Admissible evidence to me would be, say, hey, we monitored. The claim is that whenever I walk into this one specific room, the temperature drops. And it's noticeable. It's definitely noticeable. 10, 20 degrees drop in temperature.
Okay.
Every single time I walk into the room. Anyone else, nothing happens. When I do it, that. So we would set up data monitors with thermometers, monitor the room, have the person go in, come out, go in, stay an extended period of time, come out.
Mhm.
We have that data. That data shows that there is no drop in temperature at all.
Right.
Yeah, whenever they go in the room, no drop in temperature. Now I would present that as evidence. I would submit that as evidence saying this claim seems to be false because the evidence, the data we collected says no,
Okay.
it doesn't happen. So to me, that's evidence showing that it doesn't happen. It's evidence against their claim.
Okay.
That's what I would say would be admissible. But again, like I'm not submitting it to a court.
Right. Yeah. It's just,
Yeah.
That's why I asked your definition of it.
Right.
Because
So
it's going to be different.
That's what
Our
I
definitions are going to be different.
that's
which
what I
think
would
is good.
consider something that I would consider admissible. It sounds weird though.
does.
I don't ever say admissible in court. I
Well,
say
no, just admissible,
yeah.
not necessarily court,
Okay.
but
Right.
what you would feel as admissible to you, admissible to the Kenny Biddle.
right. Okay.
Yeah. Story
Biddle.
time with Kenny Biddle.
Court of law. I am the law.
Nice. Well, do you have questions about evidence as it pertains to police or how any I've been questioning you for the past. We would have it for the past 2 hours almost. Do you have any questions? No Ask a Cop questions yet? Because normally I get a ton of them from people. I'm really disappointed.
I think because we've had conversations.
Yeah.
So like questions aren't coming to mind because we've had conversations
Right.
and you're the type of nerd that when you do come up and visit, like the last time, this is a funny story. So the last time you came up, it was just you and me. I don't think
Yeah, the guy wasn't here.
Yeah.
No.
And we're sitting here, and you were like, just out of nowhere. It's late at night. You're sitting there in a chair, and you're like, so if you could have any superpower,
What would it be?
what would it be? And I'm like, oh,
I actually have that.
hold
in a-
on. I have a
that in
list.
note.
We did.
I have a list.
Yep.
Wait a minute.
You do.
So, where is it?
We're sitting there watching it. Hey, Ken, by the way,
There you go.
if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
So, superpowers I want. And we went over
The entire
this
list.
list.
Oh my goodness, your list. Holy Lord.
Because it's not just the superpower, it is a description because
Of each power.
of each power.
And the reasoning
we
why.
talked
It's
about
good.
it for like an hour and a half that we talked, because I always had that idea, like if this ever happened, it would probably be from a genie,
Mhm.
which don't exist.
But
but-
I only get so many wishes.
Because I think there's the other one. If you
Genies-
had 3 wishes, what would your 3 wishes be?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
we talked about that
Yeah.
too.
You gotta put them in order.
And it was
Like,
like,
she asked him if you had 3 wishes, what would you? And he goes, "Hang on a minute, I have a note for that. Here's my 3
Yeah, he
wishes."
did it.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He had 3 wishes.
Do you want to see what's in my phone about like my notes? It's like, okay,
Food
store
shopping.
list, food shopping, DJ's list.
No,
What
he
is that?
has his
Like
superpowers,
superpowers.
3 wishes. What would I do if?
What
That's
the
good.
hell's wrong here?
have you ever been shot?
Ever been shot?
Yeah.
That's a good
No, I came
question.
very close to being shot one time. What'd you say?
That's a good question.
Oh, okay.
I've been I got close to being shot one time. It was actually. You want to hear the story?
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah.
So it was actually for a call, believe it or not, of a loose dog. And I love dogs. You know, I have a German Shepherd, and it was actually a German Shepherd that was loose in this neighborhood. And I go, it wasn't even my post. It was a friend of mine's post, and he didn't come on until 11. I was on at 10. I go, I'll take care of this dog. I'll go. I love dogs. I'll take care of this call for him. He doesn't have to hold. You know, I'll go take care of it. So I go over there, and the neighbor says, "Oh yeah, you know that dog. You know, I go. Let me hang on. I go to the front door. I knock on the front door. The car in the driveway. The engine's cold. All the lights are off. I kind of peek through the windows. All the light, nothing there. I'm ringing the doorbell. Okay, it's in a really pretty decent neighborhood. So I go around the back, and the neighbor's like, "Oh, that dog gets out all the time." I go, "You know which way it went?" He goes, "It went over there." And I go, "All right." So I go back around to the front again. I start ringing the doorbell, knocking the door, telling him, "Oh, I wound up seeing the dog, but it ran away from me." So I try to tell him, "Hey, your dog is across the street. You want to come get it?" And I hear the neighbor yelling again. And I'm like, this guy, he probably sees a dog again, whatever. Officer, hurry up, come around back. So I'm like, what does this guy want? He goes, 3 guys with guns and masks just ran out of this house and they're running down. I'm like, wait, 3 guys with what? And I look down in the basement, and here comes a woman and kid wrapped up in duct tape around the hands and the mouth. And what had happened was I missed a very, very vital part of this story. I forgot. I went down to the basement step because I forgot to mention this. The basement door was open about this floor. It was a slider door. I'm like, I poked my head. I'm like, "Hello, police, your dog's out back. Anyone in here? Hello." And then I went around front and knocked on the door. That's a very, very, very important part. I left that part out.
Okay.
Sorry. And then I go around and ring the doorbell, and that's when the neighbor calls me around back. So I go around back, and the wife and kid come up from the basement. And come to find out, when I went around the front, it was a home invasion in progress, and they hit the dog over the head with a pole, and or a bat, and the dog ran out of the house. And that's why the dog was all scared of the people. And I went to the front door, they ran into the basement. And they took the hostages in the basement, they went in the basement, and I went to the basement door, and I poked my head in, and they were hiding in there. And they said, "If that cop walks to this door, you shoot him." They go, "Yeah, I got him." And they were apparently waiting for me to walk through the door, waiting to ambush me when I walked through the door. So it just shows you that sometimes you get a call, and I tell the story in the police academy when I go in there and teach, and I tell them, you may get a call for, it could be as simple as a loose dog, and it's actually a home invasion in progress. So never be complacent,
Right.
because it could get you shot and killed.
Right.
Because I had a call for a loose dog, and everything seems it's just a dog gets out all the time, and it gets out,
Right,
and come to find out it was a home invasion in progress.
And
And if I would have walked. And if I would have walked through that door to go, "Hey, I got your dog. Hello," like your doors are locked. Police, anyone in here?
Right.
They would. I would have been dead. They would have shot me
Wow.
because I would have been. They call it the fatal funnel, and it's just a straight hallway of no cover, no concealment, no anything, just
Right.
a straight me
Right.
just being shot at.
Wow.
Yeah.
You ever been stabbed?
Never been stabbed. No. I've fought a couple people with a knife, but that was
Okay.
about it.
All right. Did
No, I know
you?
the only serious injury I ever really got besides being in car crashes would have been when I
Car crash.
but yeah, but you know, people can't drive, especially cops. You know that.
Well, you know, donut, coffee.
Coffee in one hand,
How are you
donut in the
going
other.
to drive?
driving with your knee at 100 miles an hour, chasing the bad guy. No, what would have
Why?
been?
Like, what the hell?
there
It's
was
like besides car crashes.
Well, there was a guy who was robbing, who kept doing all these robberies. I knew he was robbing for drug money, and he didn't get any money. He tried to do two robberies in the area, and both of them failed. So I knew he's local to the area, and he's trying to get his money. He didn't get his money. So I went to the 7-Eleven to tell him, hey, if this guy walks in, it was right before COVID. So no one was wearing masks, but he was wearing a surgical mask when he would come in. Like that was his disguise.
Okay.
He would come in and rob him. I say, if the guy comes in here wearing a surgical mask, just hit the hold up button immediately. Don't wait for anything. I'm going to be here.
Okay.
And when I did that across the street at the Pizza Hut, they gave out a call for an armed robbery in progress. And I can look across the street and see the guy with the mask on in the store. Like, oh,
Wow.
So I went over to go. So I ran across the street to go get him. And he came out, and I was chasing after him, and I went to go tackle him. And when he zigged, when I went to go zag, I went to go tackle him. I came like this and went head first into the concrete and gave myself a concussion. But I got the guy. So
Okay. Good.
Wait.
and that's the only time I probably really got hurt. So
Have you ever had to deal with someone that was naked?
yes. So many times.
We all want to know.
Unfortunately, but one of the ones it's actually really unfortunate for this guy. He had a bout of schizophrenia, and it was really sad because he was in his late 30s, had a completely normal life up until this point,
Okay.
and schizophrenia hit him, and it's like a light switch went off in the guy's head. He was fine one day, and then the next day he's literally taping knives around his hand like he's Wolverine, fighting his family, going crazy.
Oh my god.
And it was Christmas Day on day work, and people go, nothing's going to happen on Christmas Day, and there he is running naked down the middle of Bel Air Road on Christmas morning. So we had to wrestle around with him. And a lot of people, when they're on PCP, they get really hot and they take all their clothes off. So whenever you see some guy in the middle of December outside with steam rolling off of their head and they're butt naked, you're like, oh, this is gonna be bad. It's gonna be a bad fight with this guy because he's high on PCP.
Wow.
So I fought many naked people on PCP and many schizophrenic people who are naked.
Okay.
And they are a schizophrenic or a naked person is way harder to try to get a hold of than what you think because they're very slippery. So you grab onto their arm and you just slide right off of them. So you actually can't get. They have clothing. I can grab onto your clothing and help get control of you.
You hope you're grabbing onto their arm.
I'm grabbing onto something, all right. Whatever I can do to get them under control. With that,
If you're running from me, bitch,
it's fair game.
Fair game.
It's fair game.
Oh man. All right. So what do we got? We got a couple questions. There's a couple questions in there. Do you want a question? You got more left?
No, I got a couple more left, but we need a couple questions. Yeah.
Okay. Any funny calls as a cop? Have experienced anything that might be paranormal while on duty?
So not necessarily me, but I do know of some other people who've had calls where people have died in the house and like they've heard footsteps or lights have turned on and off before. And I'll be honest, like sometimes when somebody died, they're like, hey, if you're still here, turn on the light for me. Like do something fun, do something like give me a sign you're still here. Like, but nothing crazy has ever happened to me. Like I said, I have heard stories about like lights turning on, footsteps, lamps.
Okay.
They had one where a lamp probably knocked over on its own. Now, I mean, I've gone to houses before, like repeat houses before, where they think someone's breaking into their house, and sometimes there may be like an older house or something like that, and like they hear somebody like walking around, or they hear someone in their kitchen, and it's been like not just once, twice, thrice. I mean, like multiple times to the point where it's like, hey, you got to get an alarm, you got to do something because we can't be your personal like security system coming out here every single night. Right. So there has been times before where I've been to houses. You know, I mean, I can think of one probably over a dozen times for somebody where they hear somebody walking around, or whether that's what they're hearing, they're misinterpreting something, a mental illness. It could be a bunch of different things. But I have been to houses before where they have made claims of things.
Okay. I mean, since Joe Nickel passed away, every time I go down to the older section, because I usually try to go out the other building, when I go in there, I still do it, especially at night. I'm like, Joe, are you here, Joe? Turn the lights on. Because that's the first thing he would do when he came in, because the lights were always off. So he'd come in, turn the lights on, and then walk to his office. So I'm always like, Joe, turn the lights on. But sadly,
He hasn't yet.
Joe has not turned the lights on for me. So good question, though.
Yeah.
All right. What else we got? Dun, dun, ba-da-da.
Any other questions, Donna?
Yeah, I'm looking.
What is your thoughts on shadow people and sleep paralysis being connected?
Well, I just know very little bit about it from a little bit of research that I had that I've done. But basically, I know when people go into sleep paralysis, one of the common, I guess, what I'm looking for here, attributes to it was that they see shadow people, they see figures walking around them. They see shadow figure walking around them.
Right.
Now, how's that connected? You're probably going to be able to speak to that a lot more than
I mean,
that's the only thing I know.
I think that's the connection there. I mean, that's part of the hallucination that accompanies sleep paralysis, because you are stuck in that. You're waking up from a dream. You're trying to wake up from a dream, but your brain is on and hyperactive, but your body is not. Your body is still locked up, so you can't move. You have this sense of, I'm trapped, I'm imprisoned, I can't move, I'm paralyzed. What's going on? And the shadow people connection here goes either way depending on your beliefs. Some people interpret it that as alien abduction, and others, because shadow people are a more modern concept, more modern experience for ghost hunters. If you believe in ghosts and don't really go with the alien UFO route so much, then you interpret those results as it's shadow people, it's spirits standing around me, or demons, or something like that. Hollywood movies don't help either, because they interpret a lot of evil spirits as shadows. So that's how we view them. So yeah, I think the connection is there. I mean, you kind of have it in your question. Where
you experience that
Have you ever
as
experienced
part
it before?
of the sleep
I
paralysis.
have not. She has.
I have.
So I had it a couple times when I was a teenager.
It's very frightening.
Because you can't move. Like I remember the first time it happened, I thought I was dead.
I thought I was there. I
Yeah.
felt like a heavy pressure on my chest,
Mhm.
and I felt like there was like a dog in the room that shouldn't have been in my room, because I felt my little dog
Mhm.
on the bed, and it was like a big dog was in my house, and I could not get Kenny's attention to save my life. Like
You couldn't move.
I
You're
couldn't
paralyzed.
move.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk. Like
Yeah. Irony is that she did have my attention, because I was awake
it
watching
was
her.
terrifying.
Yeah. So I was awake at the
so
time
my
watching
noises
her.
did wake you up.
Yeah, because you started making noises, and I woke up and I was like, "Oh, I know what this is. Oh, this is so cool! I'm seeing it from the other side."
And I'm freaking the fuck out.
I didn't know if you were gonna. I
How
don't
did you get
know.
woken up from it?
She woke up.
I mean, did your body
Yeah.
wake yourself up, or
Yeah.
okay?
But when I woke up, I was freaked out.
I wasn't gonna wake her up because I was afraid she was gonna punch me in the face.
She was paralyzed.
Well, no, I mean, as soon as you like wake up fully and your body kicks
Oh,
in,
when
I
I
can
can
see
wake
her
you up.
like coming up and punching me.
This was Carl here. He said Beardo keeps talking about an old lady. That's part of it. It kind of feels like there's somebody like putting pressure on your chest, like
That's the old
holding you
hag.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's
Old hag syndrome.
that's how
Yeah.
I felt. Like I couldn't get up. There was this, for some reason, there was this dog on the side of my bed coming at me, and I just couldn't move. I couldn't make
Yeah.
any noise. I was terrified.
The old hag is more of the traditional interpretation of sleep paralysis, like the incubus and succubus. The old hag falls into that category where you can't move and it feels like somebody's sitting on top of you.
Yeah.
And the traditional
They're keeping you
folklore
down on the bed.
is an old hag. And I'm sure we've all seen pictures. There's a quite popular painting of somebody laying down in bed, and there is like this short old hag looking figure crouched on top of someone's chest. And it's one of the most popular images that is used to describe that.
Aaron, what was your experience? Aaron.
Aaron. No,
His name is
I'm so
Rod.
sorry. Oh
it's
my
fine.
god.
No, I remember the first time mine. I really remember the first one a lot because I said I thought I was actually dead. Like I thought I died, and that was just
And
later.
you were
I was
like,
later.
"This is
I was
death?"
later dead. Like this is death. This is what it's like. Like
I'm
it
awake
was-
and I can't
sucks.
move.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
it was
You know,
almost
if
like
you put that in my brain and that happens to me again, I'm coming after
it
you.
comes after me. Well, because it kind of reminded me a little bit. Remember what the first time when I had surgery and they gave me
Anesthesia?
the anesthesia, and I felt like I was kind of like floating around the room, and like and they were started talking. I could hear them talking, but I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't see anything. And I was awake for about maybe 25, 30 seconds of being able to hear them. Like I remember them saying, like, "Do you have a pulse?" Yes, he has a pulse. Okay, I'm like they're like doing medical terms, but not like I could like hear it. And then I went in, into my dream from the anesthesia. It was kind of very similar to that because I was like hearing things, but I couldn't see anything. I was laying there. I couldn't move at all, but I was wide awake laying there, and I thought like, okay, if I'm not under anesthesia, so I must be dead. Like I was.
That's your reasoning.
Yeah, that's the first one in my mind. Like I'm dead. Like I couldn't think of anything else. Like I'm laying here, and this is what death is like. I can't move. I can't feel anything. I guess when you're dead, is what happens.
That is like
And then I laid there awake, and I was it maybe lasted maybe 4 or 5 minutes into my mom actually coming to wake me up because I was going to school. And when she touched me, it kind of like it jolted my body, pulled myself awake. Yeah.
Damn.
But it was terrifying. I said, I truly thought, I said, this is what's gonna be like for forever. Like I'm gonna lay here, and then because
that's gonna be terrifying, especially as a kid.
because it made me think about the anesthesia, saying how I could hear everything. I'm like, I'm gonna hear everything. I'm gonna hear him cremate, either cremate my body or I'm gonna hear him like embalm me. Like I'm gonna be here forever. My consciousness, like thinking that I'm gonna be I'm gonna be like conscious forever. Like this, and I'm gonna lay in the box. And I'm going to be underground with just my thoughts for forever. That's what I thought. And that terrified me.
That is the most horrible interpretation I've ever heard of death.
That's horrible.
Yeah, of just I thought of the sheer boredom of just like laying there for forever with just your thoughts. Wow, I just rotted. It was really depressing.
Wow.
That.
All right. On that note.
Drink. I
Drink
can't
a lot.
do it.
Oh, and I thought it was bad when I'm handcuffed in a basement.
Yeah.
You guys never want to experience it.
All right.
It's been years since I like I said,
But
I was
you'll
probably
never
like,
forget that experience.
no, the first time I had it, I'll never forget it. It was terrifying.
Mhm.
All right. Let's clear some up because we are coming up. We got like
We don't
18
have
minutes.
that many in here. Some of them.
Okay. Or repeat. Obscure reference, man. Ever run across any other paranormal related cases on the job or other than the one you mentioned earlier?
Hmm. I'm trying to think of any particular cases. I mean, like now, nothing I can really think of for cases, but I loved when we would get a call. We had an abandoned hospital on my post in the area where I worked in. And I would go there every night to see if there's an open door, an open window, be like, got to go check it. And the police,
Yep.
I got to go in. And then we would go around and do things like, walk around the abandoned hospital, for security and police reasons only.
Police reasons.
Now, I guess I could mention this. Some not necessarily police related cases on the job, but there was. I heard a story about a guy. I'll put it that way.
Let's name him. Short.
It's named him R.R. Ron. Yeah,
Okay.
R.R. Ron.
R.R. Ron.
Who knew somebody who was used to run we used to be in charge of state-run facilities, who was very interested in the paranormal. So that person would allow police training to go on over the overnight hours inside of some of these hospitals and things like that, like some of the abandoned hospitals in the area, but that were ran by the state. So what? Okay. So we used to go in there and do police training from what were the witching hours, the old witching hours, the ghost hunting hours,
3 a.m.
yeah, from and it would just be so funny because I'm just thinking about. I used to have this. She passed away. This woman on my paranormal group, and she would come up.
Ron's paranormal.
I'm sorry. Yes, Ron's paranormal group. Yes, definitely not me.
Not me. You didn't have a paranormal group.
It wasn't me.
It was Ron's.
And she would come up, and the security guard would be there letting us in for police training. He would come this elderly lady with with salt, putting salt down on the sidewalk. No one would trip and fall to come in, bringing a coffee pot in and coffee, and offering the security guard, "You want some coffee, hon? I'll brew it up fresh." It was just fun. But then it ended. It's really sad how that person lost their access to the training facility.
Okay.
But
yeah.
Alrighty
then. Let's keep going.
So kind of, yes. I really calls about aliens. So actually, when there was a very bright and I guess vibrant meteor shower one night, and we actually got calls in for strange objects falling from the sky. So yes. And besides that, besides people who
go out and look at that, you have to go check it out.
Oh, absolutely! It was actually really funny because we actually got so many calls on it. It wasn't just 1 or 2 calls. We had so many calls of people calling in. When somebody at dispatch, is there a meteor shower going on or something? Dispatch, I don't know what's going on. It was actually, yes, there's a meteor shower tonight, and it was a very vibrant, very nice meteor shower. And besides that, there's obviously people who I've dealt with who suffered from mental illnesses, who think they were talking about aliens, or aliens were coming in talking to them, and that's actually I won't say very common, but more common than not call that we would get dispatched to. We'd be dealing with somebody with some sort of mental illness, thinking that something or somebody is, they're being abducted, or they're listening to them, or they're coming in at night and planting stuff in their house and things like that.
Okay. All right. Cool. And anything else? Oh yeah. Why do ghosts now show up at 3 a.m. instead of midnight?
Daylight savings.
They just messed up.
Eastern versus Pacific time.
The battery eventually runs out in their watch.
I want to know, how come there's no dinosaur ghost?
How do you know there's not?
Yeah.
That's a good point. Has anyone out there ever seen a dinosaur ghost? I don't know.
Question. I never
dinosaurs, no Neanderthals,
none of that. It's and then
why? Why don't? Oh, you know what? I can play devil's advocate here, and
Sure.
I can anticipate a answer saying dinosaurs don't have souls.
That makes me really sad.
Yeah, what do you mean they don't have souls?
That makes me really
So
sad.
there's a lot of people out there that say animals do not have souls. That's why they don't come back.
Well, how can they say
So-
ghost dogs and ghost horses?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, but my dog has a soul.
Narrative changes depending on
On the answer. Okay.
on the plot. when you need a plot device, then they have a soul.
Got it.
If you're
When
good-
it's convenient.
Yeah, when it's convenient. That's usually how the stories go.
Wow, that's pretty sad.
Yeah, I don't believe in souls anyway. But I think pets have personalities. I think animals have personalities, but
Oh, yeah.
Ours does.
I think so. I think
Most
so.
definitely.
Attitude.
I work with Neanderthals, and some of them are old enough that they should be ghosts. Malachi, damn!
Jeez.
They got trampled by a dinosaur ghost. No witnesses.
Oh, so it definitely happened. Nice.
Is that it for questions?
There was no other
What
cop questions. whenever when I go to somewhere, they're always
They're
Barbie
awesome.
with them.
Did we do this?
Has Aaron experienced anything unexplainable on the job? First of all, thank you for saying Aaron.
Thank you so much.
All right.
I appreciate that.
Let's see, unexplained. On the
Unexplained.
job. Yeah, I think I could
Unexplained, not
explain on the
unexplainable.
job. I might have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah.
I'm trying. Like, I'm sure there is, but 20 years worth trying to compress. I'm trying to think of anything that I just can't explain at the time. Like,
Right.
I know there is. I mean, like besides stupidity. I mean, I can talk about that for forever. Like there was a woman.
Let's do one.
Like,
Let's do
there was a
some
woman who
stupidity.
called 911 because she locked herself in her own bathroom and couldn't get out of her bathroom.
But she had her phone.
But she had her phone. You know what I'm saying? But she couldn't figure out like to unlock the door. She was stuck inside of her bathroom and couldn't figure out to unlock the bathroom.
And all she did was
She,
turn the little
which one?
button.
Because she was locked in the bathroom. So she calls 911. So I
was
got
this like an old time lock with a key?
no, it was a twist, like a hand twist. So she locked the door, but realized she locked the door, and it would almost be like imagine being inside of your car and locking the car door,
Remember
and your
Alex?
keys outside of your car, and go,
Well,
I locked myself in the car. I can't get my key. Like she couldn't get out to get. She couldn't get out to unlock the door, but the door could be unlocked from the inside.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So I got in there. I'm like, unlock the door. She's like, I don't know how. I can't figure it. I'm like, so I actually had to go get a pair of screwdriver and undo the thing. And I'm like, dispatch, Pooh Bear's clear the honey pot. We're all good to go, you know, and clear it out. So, I mean, as far as, you know, I can't explain some people's stupidity, but I'm sure there's something, and I'll think of something, and I'll let you know. I'll shoot you a message so you can put it on the show for
Okay.
next time.
All right.
I'm sure there is. I just can't think of it right now.
That kind of reminds me of Daniel's parking.
Just couldn't find the right spot.
Like there's plenty of spots. He just keeps driving around and around and around. He just doesn't park. I don't know. Is Daniel still here? All right.
Yeah, I think he is.
All right.
Here's the question.
How about our Ron? Did he experience anything?
R.R. Ron. So, R.R. Ron, so I have two things that I've experienced that I really can't explain. One of it was when it kind of goes, well, one's like a two-part story. So when my grandmother, she had cancer and it really spread through her, and she was in the hospital, and I had a very, very, very vivid dream of my grandfather who already passed away. It was the most vivid dream I've ever had in my entire life. I think I told you the story before, where he gave me a hug. I could smell his aftershave. I could feel the whiskers against me, and he was in a wheelchair. He stood up, he gave me a hug. He said, "Take your time, Aaron. You'll get there, and everything will be fine." And that's all he said. And then I woke up from my dream, and like I had this really weird dream. I told Randy about it, and then that night I got a phone call, and it was a blizzard. It was a really bad snowstorm, not quite blizzard level, but really bad snowstorm. And my grandmother was back in the hospital, and they said, "Hey, she's not going to make it through the night. The lung cancer spread all through her lymph nodes and her lungs, and she's on an oxygen machine, and they don't think she's going to make it. You got to hurry and get down here if you want to say goodbye." And I thought that's really weird because I just had this dream where my grandfather said, "Take your time. You're good. You're going to make it." So I made it. Obviously, I made it down there, and then I told her, I said, "Hey, you know, when you pass away, you got to come back and you got to give me a sign. You got to tell me that you're okay, that you're here." And then when at the funeral, I stood up, and it was like to go speak, and it was like, you know, obviously a funeral's not a happy place, but I told a lot of really funny stories about my grandmother. Excuse me, and made everybody laughing and had everybody just it was just really good. And then like the next day, maybe 2-3 days later, not quite the next day, but my phone rang, and it was my mom. So I picked the phone up, and I'm on a 3-way muted call with my mom, but she can't hear me. I'm like, "Mom, hello, are you there?" And it was like static, and it kicks in, and she goes, "Oh, and Aaron, he made me laugh, and it was so funny. He made me laugh during the funeral. It made me feel so good about my mom, and I feel so good about it, and you know, and everything was good." And then I'm like, "Can you hear me?" And then it just cut out. So almost like she was telling me that everything was like that. She was glad what I said at the funeral to kind of make everybody laugh.
Okay.
So that was one thing that, I mean, I can't explain how that happened. Like, I mean, I know 3-way calls were a thing that, you know, back then when you could pick up and call somebody.
Right.
I mean, it's possible, but I don't know how her her phone would have called my phone and she wouldn't hear me. And it just picks in during that part of that conversation.
Right.
So it's something that I could never explain.
Okay.
And then another one that I have was unexplained was when me and my wife were driving through Gettysburg, and we saw a guy on a horse. It looked like it looked to me. I couldn't say it was a guy on a horse, but it looked like a person on a horse, like crossing across the battlefield across Steinwire Avenue, and it was so real. We even said it's like 8 o'clock at night. Like they do horse tours to the battlefield, and like it's late to be doing this.
Right.
And it went, and it's the only it looked like it went right through the fence and just disappeared. And we both saw it. It was like the weirdest thing ever. And it's interesting because we both saw different things. Like we both saw the same guy on the horse, but like first thing what I looked for was naturally I look at people's hands. It's just a trained thing because people's hands are what would hurt you as a cop. So I look at his hands, and the first thing I saw, he had like a lance in his hand, like something really tall on his hand, like holding in his right hand. And he would have been crossing, like if this is us, the camera's us. He was crossing like this way, so it kind of went across. And Randy said she was paying attention to the horse because she rode horses as a child and grew up horses. She was like, they ride? She was looking at it like, if they ride in Western or English, because I want to come here and do this horse tour. I want to see what we were looking at different things, and just kind of just disappeared. So I mean, I can't explain what happened.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
And that's and besides that, every other paranormal something or another that I've experienced, I have an explanation to. But that I can't explain what happened.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I like that. All right, good. We're almost at
we're 5
we're
minutes
at the end of 3 hours.
We're almost there.
So are we good with questions, or do you want to do one more? Are we
sure?
are we
Any
good?
other questions?
We good?
Yeah, we can do this one.
Okay, so are we good? But what about when you see shadow people directly in front of you, 8 p.m., well lit and awake, seeing it in an adjoining dark room?
I think this goes back to
Yeah.
Stop smoking. Stop with the gummies, Puerto Rican. No. On a serious note, though, this is an anecdote. This is a story from your perspective. I don't know what you actually saw, and if it's in an adjoining room, I wouldn't say it's directly in front of you. It could be in front directionally, but not right in front of you. I don't know if it was or not. 8 p.m. well lit. I don't know the rest of the situation. I don't know the conditions in the environment that you were in, or the conditions of you at the time. I'm not saying you were all strung out, but
were you falling asleep? Were you half awake?
Right. Could have been just a shadow, not actual. Like shadow people are, to be blunt, it's a modern creation. It is a modern evolution of paranormal activity. We had orbs, and then ecto, and then we had full body apparitions. We had partial apparitions, and it moved to shadow people because it's kind of sexy, and that's become part of our. Yeah, it's like demons. Demons are sexy because they're
Because Zach
dangerous.
Baggins said so.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Well, not sexy as in like
It's like the new thing.
come
Yeah.
The new.
like sexual
It's
nature.
hot.
It's
The new
something
thing.
that's appealing. It's very appealing to the community. Thank you, Pinky. So I think there's issues there. Like we have a lot of missing information with this experience. So I'd be happy to talk to you more, to get in more in depth into it, to ask some clarifying questions and see if we can come up with some more details, or maybe realize that there isn't as much detail as we think. This complicates it more. I was 7 years old, and in a room full of people, I was looking directly into a dark room. I seen a figure stepping from side of wall, part of an older. All right, so this complicates it because now it's I'm assuming
Yeah,
very,
we can
several
check.
years old.
We can check.
Sure. Yeah, we can try it and go on. Yeah, but I mean, this is a memory from so many years ago, so now it complicates things. And if there are other people there, that also complicates things. But yeah, we can talk. We'll set up a time and then we'll go. Why do we hallucinate in the dark? I think that's lack of stimuli.
And you're always looking for patterns. So
Yeah.
a lot of times your eyes want to find patterns, want to find recognitions. It's make sure you're not in danger. So yeah.
When you're looking, you're going to see shapes. You're going to see weird things. Because you're going to be more dependent on your peripheral vision, because your peripheral vision is with the rod cells that are in your eyes that pick up movement. They're more sensitive to light, but as we perceive it, we pick up movement more than actual light, and we also see in black and white off the sides. So our cone cells, which is directly in front of us, require a great deal of light in order to recognize what we're seeing.
don't they also see color versus black and white too?
That's it.
They
Yeah,
kind of
color. The cone cells, which are
see the front
centered. Yeah, that's right in front. And basically, if you hold a quarter out in front of you, here's one. I have it. I have it.
Oh my God.
So put that's what you actually focus on at a distance. When you're holding a quarter out in front of you like this, that's the size of what you actually focus on. Everything else goes into peripheral. You're not actually focusing on anything else. So
You know what? You're right. Now I'm looking at your screen and I'm like doing that.
you start realizing like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm looking at
Like,
this
you're right.
point, and we're filling in. We're everything else is in peripheral, and we're filling in
That's
because we
creepy as
know.
shit. Now that you're like doing it looks like a 3D.
Yeah, it's kind of weird when you start realizing like, oh, I'm only focusing on one small place, and everything else. If there's any movement, you're going to pick it up, and once you focus on it, usually it goes away because it's just simple movement. It's not an actual object. Maybe it could be a shadow or just a movement of something that when you do focus on it, it's not moving as much as you think it does. So yeah, we can talk. We can get into it more and discuss it. I'm happy to discuss it with you. I think that'd be interesting. All right, so I think we're at the end. We're at 3 hours.
Unless you guys
You
have-
good?
Yeah, I'm good.
You good? You
So
good?
11
Anything
o'clock?
else?
I mean, I can say this for next time. There's still more, but we have the whole top half. We get that next time.
Oh
Oh
my
my
goodness!
gosh.
What do you got here?
All kinds of
I'm
stuff.
cheating. I'm going to look.
Okay.
Demand rigorous
I need
test
to
of all
order a
things
pizza.
should extra. Yeah, I'm hungry.
Mhm.
Claims require more rigorous. Yes.
That's nice talking
Well, the
points.
double standards when believers reject official. What does that say?
Which one? Which one talking about here?
3.
Are the double standards when believers reject official forensic evidence but accept blurry pictures and anecdotal evidence?
What's the double standard?
I
What's
was
the other
asking
side
you.
of that?
I was asking you, like where the standards at when Elias, like, what's your opinion on that? Like when somebody says like, I'm going to accept this picture of Bigfoot, but as real, and I'm saying he's real because I got this picture of Bigfoot.
Okay.
Now, I had this hair that's captured that's going to be by Bigfoot. It's Bigfoot hair, but we send it off and it's bear, and we're saying no, it's fine because it was evidence. But now that you're saying that it's evidence of a bear, I'm going to stick to this blurry picture of Bigfoot. So they're rejecting evidence.
So I don't think that's a double standard. I think that is an opinion versus science. Because I would say, all right, so
No, they're leaving out specific information.
a double standard is more like when you apply rules to somebody,
Okay.
and then if you're presenting stuff the same rules do not apply to you. That's how I see a double standard.
Okay.
So if someone's saying, hey, I have hair that is from a Bigfoot, but they don't have it tested, then there's no, I don't understand where the double standard is coming in.
Tested.
Yeah,
If they have it tested,
they have it tested, and they're saying
and
no.
it comes
bear
back
hair.
as forensic,
So
then I
for-
guess what they would.
So, for example, they're saying, "Hey, I have evidence of Bigfoot. Evidence is his hair and this blurry picture."
Mhm.
And now they're saying, "Wait a minute, now I don't have this hair, but I still have this blurry picture, and but my evidence that I had that was supposed to be for the positive claim of Bigfoot,
So
of Bigfoot."
all right.
And now they're saying, no.
So
I'm disregarding that evidence completely, saying that now it doesn't matter. Like this input, the science doesn't matter. The input doesn't matter, and now I'm only sticking to this blurry photo.
So that I think that's where we're not connecting on this issue, because if the first part of it is I have hair and a blurry picture, and in my opinion this is evidence,
right?
So that's not science. That's an opinion. That's science.
Exactly. No, exactly.
Okay. So
I agree
wait.
I agree with you.
Let me. All right. I'm going to follow through with this and
Follow
say,
through, I'm ready.
if they sent it away for testing and they get a negative result,
Correct.
and they say, well, science doesn't know enough, or science doesn't mean that it's right, or science is faulty, I don't trust science. Okay, that's their standard. That's what I'm seeing as their standard, that
Okay.
science is wrong and it can't be trusted because it didn't agree with their preconceived belief.
With their belief. Yeah.
However, if they now go later on and say, we had this other hair sample tested and the science said it was from an unknown species that's not cataloged.
Inconclusive.
Now we have an unknown species. So that shows that there could be a Bigfoot. I think that's a double standard, because in one case they rejected the science
right
because it didn't agree with their beliefs.
Okay.
But in the second case, they agreed with the science because it kind of supported their belief, or
in a
opened
way.
up the door to their belief
but it could
being
be
true.
anything, though.
Yes. So
I'm not saying it's a Bigfoot though.
right. The double standard is, in this
Okay.
one case, I'm not going to trust science. Science is wrong. And in the other case, because it was a little bit more beneficial to them, now it's okay. That's how I see a double standard.
Okay.
Because and then say if they submit, let's say they discovered a coelacanth. They were the person that discovered the coelacanth that was thought to be extinct.
Right.
All right. And originally they had submitted evidence where they thought, oh, I caught this fish, I think it's a coelacanth. Test came back, no, said negative. It's not. It's something else. Science is wrong. They say science is wrong. That's their one standard. Science is wrong. But
right.
when it came back with the coelacanth and said it was right, science is okay now. That's
standard.
what I see the double standard as.
Okay.
So let me.
People are like bitching about a song and a break. Like, don't they get a break? It's like 11:07.
Do we have another song? Do I have another video?
Don't we have a
Song?
4-hour song?
I do. I have Tim's. We can play Tim's.
I guess they need a break.
All right. So
No, we're
let's
not going much longer, guys. Like, we
wait.
just wanna
Where's
hang
Tim's
out.
song? Tim Vickers.
Right here,
Oh,
Tim Vickers'
there
song.
it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So
All
we're going
right.
to take a 2-minute break because I got to pee anyway. So
Okay.
we'll
be
be
back.
right back in 2 minutes and 4 seconds from.
Tim Vickers is his name. Moderating is the game. Pinch hitting while time is away. He's a tortured soul with a single goal to keep the chat trolls at bay. It's the show going to hour 3 or 4. But if you really will show you the door. You've been figured out now. You've been figured out. You've been figured out. You've been figured. Enough physics, history, animals, and a good mystery. Misconceptions he loves to slay. He's an easygoing
I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get back. I gotta back. It's almost over.
Woo! Just made it.
Song's almost over. Oh shit.
Well, I only got like 2 more things left. So
Okay, let's
on
get
my sheet.
let's get them. You
Yeah,
okay? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was like, yeah, we're already here. Okay.
Man, he didn't even bring me snacks.
No, I have a whole bag of snacks
I
too
know,
for
but they're
tomorrow.
not physically here.
I'm
All
sorry.
right.
I
It's
feel
all
bad now.
right. We'll
So,
eat later.
Let's see.
Are we good? Oh, we're good on double standard. I want to make sure, like,
I mean, I understood you. I mean, that was very clear.
Tim
for
said
me.
not a double standard cherry picking.
cherry picking. I don't.
So you're cherry picking the evidence? I mean,
What is a double standard?
when you have like,
Let's see, a rule or principle which is unfairly applied in different ways to different people or groups. Example of double standard. Double standard is a code of or policy that favors one group or person over another. Double standards are unfair. If a teacher lets all the boys bring candy for lunch but not the girls, that's a double standard.
Okay.
so if you're saying,
And then Tim's saying, what? If
you're cherry picking the evidence,
cherry picking. I mean, I guess that's. I don't know.
Well, you
I
guys were
still
talking
see
about before, like
applying
he was saying
science.
It's not a double standard. It's cherry picking.
no double standard. I mean, if you're okay with applying science
applying science to one,
for one, but
then
not
the other.
then I think that's. I mean, cherry picking is like I see cherry picking.
Put in what is cherry? What is cherry? Let's get the exact
That's more
definition.
like
Let's see what Google says.
when there's a bunch
The old googly.
of stuff that's presented, and you only pick out the stuff that favors your preconceived.
Well,
belief.
I
and
think
you're not
that's
putting
what
anything for the negative.
Aaron was trying to explain. the
Oh,
first
okay.
time.
All right. So Tim is more saying to you.
Yeah, I
think
think
your-
that was
your example,
Aaron's example.
I think. Okay.
Was
All right.
cherry picking because they were like, "Oh, I knew this evidence was a bear. I'm not going to use it. I'm just going
Okay.
to use my photo."
I mean, the cherry picking, yes, and that would be cherry picking the evidence, 100%.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So I think
Okay,
that's
that's
where
what
he
I'm saying,
was
yes.
going with that.
Yeah. Because like it's. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. We'll move on. What else you got? Unless
Let's see
something comes
here.
up, because I can see like people like typing
Yeah.
typing at home like, oh wait, I got an answer.
So tell me, how, like in your experiences, how has trauma and cultural stories led to the misinterpretation of events?
Trauma and
Like
And what?
like trauma, high emotions,
Hmm.
and I felt like cultural stories of like, so people are basing their decision based on cultural events,
Right,
on
right.
things, on their rate, on their how they're brought up, how they're raised,
Yeah.
on how that can affect people's perceptions of events.
So yeah, I guess trauma will play into it, and I'm gonna talk more about on like the ghost hunting paranormal kind of side of it, where trauma is in losing a loved one, like a
Okay.
dear loved one. I think that's going to play into it because despite what someone might their how do I want to say it, the like principles, their personal ideals or beliefs, when you lose someone that's extremely close to you, it might be a turning point where everything goes out the window and you are very hopeful of maybe contacting them or getting one last goodbye or closure. So if you lose a sibling or a child, you want desperately to reach out to them and contact. And if someone gives you hope, that trauma will open you up. It doesn't happen to everyone, but it can open you up to being more susceptible to extraordinary beliefs at face value.
Okay.
So if someone claims I can contact your son,
Your deceased loved one.
your
or something,
deceased
yeah.
loved one, yeah,
Mhm.
that hope, that ray of hope, will cause someone to say, "All right, what do you got?" and be hopeful about it. High emotions play into that as well, because you're talking about a grieving process that sometimes is very difficult. some grieving processes go through depression and long periods of sadness. Or holidays
cycle,
come
yeah.
around. Yeah, there's cycles where holidays come around, milestones come around, and it reminds you of the loss, and it hits you again. Sometimes full force, sometimes just a little harder than normal. And again, that hope, that little bit of hope of maybe I can talk to them, maybe I can do this, will come back. When it's cultural, absolutely. There are cultural practices that just dictate, like, yeah, the dead are not gone. They are with us all the time. Yes, you absolutely can speak with them. Yes, you can communicate with them. You can interact with them. You can leave offerings for them and they will take them. There's a cultural basis where we grow up with these ideas, and it's ingrained into their who they are. So yeah, I think all three have an effect or an influence or impact on what we may or may not believe, even temporarily, because of that little glimmer of hope. And that is, I want to try not to go off the rails here, but I think that is why I get so angry at psychics and mediums that claim to talk to loved ones and see the grieving as marks. You know, like that's like, oh, look, that's money. Money.
There's somebody I can take advantage of.
Yeah, and they do, and continually, not just once, but multiple times, keep coming back, and it becomes part of an addiction, because that glimmer of hope that you get when you go and you think you're getting a message from your loved ones, that becomes a fix. And when that fix wears off, you want it again. It extends the grieving process indefinitely, and you keep going back. You keep spending money on something that is
taking advantage of you.
Yeah, that they're taking advantage of you. They're lying to you, and it's not helping you. As hard as the grieving process is, it's something that we have to go through, and we have to come out the other side. There's plenty of people out there that can help you with that, and they are not identified as psychic mediums. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
A question for you.
Pinky, if someone goes to the cemetery to talk to a loved one who has passed, isn't it cruel to tell someone that they can't hear them? Yeah, at the moment, I would say, yeah. You know, like if you walked up to someone who
It may not be nice to say it.
sitting at a grave and they're talking, and you go, they can't hear you. Like, yeah, I think that's rude. I think that's
I wouldn't go around
wrong.
saying that. Like, walk on the
Right.
grave, you go pay my respects to somebody, and someone's like, I'm paying my respects to somebody, and someone else is there in the graveyard, like, oh, I miss you, I love you. I'm not gonna walk by and go, they can't hear you, by the way. Like, that's
Way too
yeah,
I wouldn't
that's
do
really
that.
rude.
I wouldn't do that. I mean, and in those situations where it is very personal and someone is curious, if they ask me, I usually give the disclaimer, like, first, like, does it bring you comfort? Fine. There's no need for us to have a conversation about it. We don't have to talk about it.
Not hurting anybody.
Not hurting. You're not going out and preaching to the world like this is communication. This is real communication.
This is real. This is true.
Right.
It's you are finding comfort in talking to someone that may or may not be there. I talk to people. I still talk to people that have gone away. I mean, I told you during the show, like, I go down and ask Joe Nickel to turn the lights on down there all the time. You know, I'm not expecting him to answer me back. Be cool, but I'm not expecting it. If I talk to an old friend of mine, that have passed years ago, I'm just talking out loud, and I mean, I don't expect them to talk back to me, but I'm just talking because, I mean,
Nothing wrong with it.
when you are talking to someone else, it seems less insane than saying you're talking to yourself.
That's a good way to
And
put
it brings comfort. So I wouldn't go around doing that. Now, again, like if they go out and start preaching to the world that this is true, this is absolutely true, and everyone can do this. This is genuine communication. Then I'm going to say something. I'm going to question
and
it.
they say, "Give me $500, and I'll send you my course."
Yeah. That's a different show.
Oh, wow, this is horrible.
Someone told my dad that my mom isn't there, so why is he there talking to her? I thought that person was just being cruel to him. My
They
poor
were being
dad.
cruel.
They were.
Yeah, they were being cruel. There's no beating around the bush for that.
Yeah. And there's no reason to do that. I mean, if you go to a cemetery, I mean, that's what cemeteries are.
Or
They're there for helping with
Yeah.
grieving,
Yeah.
and
So
part
you
of
have
it.
a place to go that you can still feel connected
Mhm.
and sit there because this is the memorial to them. And you can sit there, and if you want to talk to them, you talk to them.
yeah, it
That's
doesn't mean
the
you're
whole
going to get
point.
an answer.
You don't, yeah, it doesn't have to be a two-way conversation. There is no need to walk up and tell someone you're wasting your time or they're not
They're not
there.
there. They can't hear you. That's
Yeah.
just
First of all,
Yeah,
what
everybody's
fucking
like-
business is it of theirs?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
it is
like-
horrible and it is cruel.
You're not bothering anyone. Like,
exactly. Yep. That's cruel.
just do you.
Yeah, next
You
time
know?
go with your dad and put them in their place.
That's-
What
that's-
are they
yeah.
doing there?
General philosophy is
No.
you do you as long as you're not hurting other people.
Was it rule number 1? Don't be a dick.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
There you go.
That was a dick.
I mean, that,
That's a dick move.
you had a good question. Like, what's that other person doing there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Is that well,
Are they
unless
there-
they're staff? Are they
Yeah,
But even
staff?
so,
would
that staff needs to
would
be fired.
Yeah,
Like you need to be time for you to
Ask,
go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah, like what's the reason that they're there? Are they there to
What-
visit their loved ones?
Or they're
Yeah,
there to tell
exactly,
people off. Like
yeah.
that's
Yeah, or just to be a dick. Like that sounds like a full time being a dick.
I know, like
What-
seriously.
What do you want to do today? I don't know. Let's go to the
just
cemetery, and fuck
cemetery
with
and tell
people.
people off. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's
Let's-
pretty shitty.
tell them that they're wasting their time.
yeah. And unless that other person was just grieving so bad that they were like saying it in a way like, why are you talking to them? They're not here. You know, like maybe that other person
that is
was
possible.
in a different grieving stage.
An angry phase
Yeah.
where they're angry at
And they
losing
just were
someone.
like, look, I'm going to save you the grief from
And they
what I've
think
been
they're
going
helping, yeah.
through.
To try to speed it along.
Exactly.
and
Like they're not
But
here.
they have to go through it themselves. They have to
Exactly.
get to that
Right.
choice
Right.
and that
But-
decision on their own.
But I'm just thinking, like, from the other
That's part of the
person's
process.
point of view. Like,
Yeah.
if I don't think that there's definitely people walking around a cemetery to be mean to people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
hope
Like,
not.
no, I mean, that would be maybe a reason why that person said something like that. And
Yeah.
I'm sure it was taken out of context if it wasn't meant to be that way.
Right.
Because it does sound really, really cruel.
That
But-
just sounds mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you realize?
What do you mean?
I'm reading Puerto Rican.
Oh.
He's sorry for your loss, but you do realize they are going right. Subsada, hell no. Exceptional.
I think he was just the way he
Oh,
wrote it. I
okay.
think it was just messed up. That's why I didn't put it up.
Okay. All right. All right. What else? Are we almost done?
Yeah, I really don't have one more question.
One
for
more.
you.
One more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, one more good one. We'll put it that way. So, do you think that the public, do you think they understand? And if not, what do you think the problems that come out of the misunderstanding of correlation and causation? So, meaning like, they walk into, how do we word this earlier? They walk into a house and they feel a cold spot. Ghost calls cold spots. Therefore, the house is haunted.
Right.
Like what's your opinion on correlation versus causation and the general understanding of how that affects people's decision making processes and yeah.
So I think there's an immediate acceptance of causality. So I think people usually, like, if something weird happens, it's the cause. Let me back up. If they are at a location that they believe is haunted and something weird happens, it's automatically assumed, in most cases, in my experience, it's automatically assumed that the cause of it is a ghost or a demon or something like that. And that's their causation. Where causation, and I'm going to the definition of here, is a
That's correlation.
That's correlation. Yeah, never mind.
I
had both.
We were all
Make sure you give the right definition.
Yeah.
That's all.
You have the right
Is
glasses on?
causation. All right. So causation is the act of causing something. So that is the cause. That's usually what we're looking for. When I investigate experiences, I'm looking for a cause of that experience. What did it? Was it the boiler kicking on? Was it an open window? What was the cause of the experience? The correlation is what is correlation in simple words? Correlation describes the relationship between variables. So I think how it works is that a positive correlation means that two variables increase at the same time. That's not determining what the cause is. It's mean you're doing an experiment and two things that could change. You have dependent variables and independent variables, and one of the two of the variables will increase at the same time. If you have a negative correlation, that means one increases, the other decreases. What you have to determine is the cause of that correlation. Why are these variables changing? What's causing this? So like an example that I use sometimes is if I'm, and this is the funny one, if I'm up there sitting on the throne and then I get up, I flush the toilet and the doorbell rings. Did my flushing the toilet caused the doorbell to ring? No, but there was a correlation. There's a linear correlation because the toilet flush, the doorbell rung at the same time.
I mean, another one would be like, drowning deaths and ice cream. I put it. It's a funny one I like to think about. Not think about often, but just saying like during the summer, ice cream. People eat more ice cream. During the summer, people swim more and they drown more. So therefore, does the cause of eating ice cream equal more death, equal more drowning?
Right.
Correlation doesn't equal causation.
Does electricity bills going up in the summertime? There's a correlation with pirate attacks at sea?
Yep.
Does that mean one causes the other?
No.
We use more electricity, so the pirates are getting pissed off.
They attack more. Yeah.
Right. So
damn pirates.
Even though there's seemingly linear. I mean, these are independent variables.
Exactly.
They have nothing to do with it. These are extreme circumstances here. But
so it's like, so as a professional, how do you try to explain that to the public when they try to put that in paranormal claims?
So when they say stuff like my REM pod went off,
therefore it was a ghost.
Therefore it was a ghost. My REM pod went off, and a few minutes later, I got a picture with an orb. Okay, so two things happened roughly at the same time, but not really. And that part goes into more clarifying questions.
Right.
Like,
ask the right questions,
what time?
get the right answer.
What's the timestamp on the photograph? Do you have a timestamp on a video of the REM pod going off? Let's actually look at these.
Right.
And then what was the cause of each? So we have we understand what can cause orbs in photographs. So we look at that. That's different from a REM pod going off. A dust particle in a photograph will not cause a REM pod to trigger,
right,
to sound off. So there is no causation that made both of them happen.
You're just reading into the
and there is, even though there seems to be a link, there is no linear correlation between the two because they are not linked. The variables are not linked.
Right.
And those are the kind of questions we have to ask. When things do happen, what exactly happened? What are the details behind what happened? And if there's 2 or 3 different things that are reported, what causes all of them? can one thing cause all three to go off that we know of? We don't go into speculation. We don't make up
And insert your
we don't
yeah.
insert our preferred thing. We can't say just ghost because we have no evidence that a ghost will do that. So that's off the table. We have to go with what we know.
Mhm.
So I think that's how I would approach your question.
Okay.
And
And that's the long-winded one.
always a
Good
debate.
answer. And we double check my list, make sure there's nothing else here that we might have
during
missed.
the night, your answers get longer and
There is a
longer.
correlation
There is a
between
correlation.
Donna's patience with me.
No, it's not patience.
And
Oh, actually,
Seriously,
had
your,
one more.
Your answers get longer
I
the later it gets.
I don't think so.
I think so.
I think
What do you
I'm
guys
going to
think?
demand the evidence
What do you
to
guys
support
think?
that.
What do you
I'm
guys
not going
think?
with public opinion. I want
Oh,
evidence.
God, this is evidence. They're listening. To
No,
you
now you're
all
cherry
night.
picking.
What?
This is
cherry
double
picking
standard.
from your selected crowd there. The crowd is biased because they have to hear him talk all the time.
Green stones. All right, what's your one
No,
more?
I have one more. Did you ever have a claim that you believe to be true, only to realize the evidence didn't hold up to it?
That's a good question.
Evidence didn't hold up to it.
Yeah. Like, you ever have something where it's like, man, this actually might be, X, and then you get the evidence and goes, oh no, it's actually Y.
So the thing that comes to mind is a case at Fort Mifflin in Philadelphia.
All right.
So we went there as ghost hunters, and there's always been a story about the screaming lady, and that the story behind it was that she was Elizabeth Pratt. Can't believe I remember that name. And she was a mother, and she was distraught because her daughter married an enlisted man who she didn't want her to marry, and before they could reconcile, the child died of yellow fever. I think it was yellow fever. I may be wrong on that.
I won't hold you to that.
Okay,
Go ahead.
because there's
The
yellow,
child died. The child
and there
died.
was another pandemic at the time, and I forget which one.
The child died.
The child died.
Okay.
So in the story version is that, I mean, she's old enough to be married. Okay. So for years I thought that was true, and I went to the fort hoping, like, I'm going to hear the screaming lady, because that's a common popular story from there. Allegedly, the police have been called several times because they thought they heard a screaming woman that was being murdered, stuff like that. So I was, for lack of a better term, excited to experience that.
Right. Yeah.
Later years, when I dug into the story, so part of the story I forgot was that the mother was distraught because the child died of yellow fever. And so distraught that she hung herself from the second floor of the officers' quarters.
Okay.
So, digging into the history and the records, I found out that there was an Elizabeth Pratt, real person.
Okay.
Okay, great. On the right track. However, when she lived, there were a few things. First, she did have 2 children. A daughter died under the age of 7.
Right.
So she did not marry. She was not married. She did not have an enlisted man. That was false.
Yep.
That part of the story was false. And at the time of her death, when she died, when Elizabeth Pratt died, there had been no second floor to the officers' quarters. So she could not have hung herself from that. It just couldn't. It wasn't possible. So the story falls apart. The only true part of that story was Elizabeth Pratt was a real person.
Right.
And then the child also didn't die of yellow fever. It was whatever fevers she claimed that was claimed that she died from, she did not. It was something else.
Okay.
And I did find a record of that, so I know exactly what she died from. I just can't recall. So I believed it at first, and then the more I dug into the history and the records, I found that there was very little truth to the story at all. In fact, it fit the modern definition of folklore, where there's a kernel of truth
Mixed in with a bunch of
in with a lot of embellishment. And unfortunately, go ahead.
Well, and the noise that people thought they were hearing was a bird.
Yes. Right next to the fort
Mhm.
is a wildlife sanctuary, and
Sure, it wasn't a jet engine.
That's
well, there's an airport
Yeah,
next to
I
it
was
too.
saying,
Yeah,
right next door to it. Yeah.
but
it's
there's
never quiet
there's a-
staying there.
a bird sanctuary next to it, and one of the main birds is a red-tailed hawk.
Mhm.
And if you look up a video of the red-tailed hawk screech, yes, it sounds like a woman screaming in agony.
Really?
So the most likely cause of this story is that somebody heard a red-tailed hawk and didn't know what it was, called the police,
No,
which I mean,
Sounds like
that's what you
I-
should do. Yeah.
I can vouch for that because we used to get people for the foxes screaming. It sounded like people calling for help.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
like people screaming for in the wood. Like, no, it's just a fox. Like people call the police all the time for that. So
Yeah. So yeah, that was a case where I did believe it at first, and then the evidence pointed to a different conclusion,
interesting.
that the story was most likely fabricated, and it was popularized
Popularized?
yeah,
Popular.
by a ghost story book by Charlie Adams. He wrote the story, and it became popular from that, and people seem to repeat it. And that's one of the issues with the community, is that a lot of these stories are repeated without fact checking.
Right.
But once it was fact checked, it really fell apart. So there you go.
Nice.
Good question. This has been a good show.
Yeah.
I've been having fun and enjoying these conversations and
Same.
discussions, and getting. Glad Dave came on.
Me too. Thanks, Dave.
To give
That's
some
good.
input.
Drink.
Um,
Malachi says drink.
Drink. I'm out.
I'm just about. I have like a sip
I have
left.
like a little bit of water.
I'm out.
That's it.
That's it. That's why we're into the show.
Yeah.
We have run out of
We're out of
drink.
booze.
Yeah.
Gotta go.
So we gotta go home and
It's
refill.
Friday night. Yeah.
So thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you for having me on, Kenny.
Anytime, buddy. I'm glad you came up, and I'm glad you came up a day early so we could do well.
I came up just to be on the show. Just
Yeah.
to know.
Good.
That's all.
Yeah.
Good. You're always welcome. Always welcome back, because we always have really good conversation. So, do you have anything that's coming up that you're going to be attending, or that you're appear at, that people can meet you, because you're like a famous paranormal cop now?
Famous paranormal cop. No,
You're Aaron. Everyone knows Aaron.
unfortunately, not at this time. No.
And now
Okay.
our Ron.
Yeah, and my nemesis,
Make
my
you a
arch
shirt.
nemesis, R. Ron.
I am Ron.
My arch nemesis.
Your arch.
My
Nemesis?
arch nemesis.
nemesis. Your arch
Arch nemesis.
Oh my God, we gotta
all
go.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Just real quick. Sorry. Next weekend we will be in Grafton, West Virginia for the Grafton Monster.
Grafton Monster Festival.
That we'll be there Friday and Saturday. And Laura B, $10 off. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. For
I
the
would
super
give you a
sticker.
cheers, but my glass is empty. So
Yeah, we gotta
I know.
refill.
Don't worry, we'll cheer
Yeah,
you.
We'll
I'll
cheer you
cheers
when
you
we get
later.
home.
definitely.
As we're talking about like wishes and superpowers and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Stupid nerd shit that we
Yeah.
do at night. So yeah, we'll be in Grafton, West Virginia with Daniel Reed. And I think, is Tim Vickers coming down? I think he might visit. Yeah, I didn't see Tim, but he might be there too. And then, well, if you're in the Buffalo area and you're a nerd, June 27th to 29th is Nickel City Comic Con, which I'm going to go to because Donna's on
I'm
vacation
outta
and I'm going to be unsupervised. So I'm going to a Comic Con and I'm going to have some fun. I know
Are you dressing up?
I don't have a costume. I haven't had a costume in a
That
while.
actually surprises me.
I
You
know.
haven't had time to do
I used to be in
anything.
cosplay. Like,
Yes,
I
I'm saying
loved
that,
it.
that
but
kind of surprises me. You don't have a costume.
I don't have a. I mean, I could always. I have my fallback, which is my Jedi robes, because I always have them.
All right, good. There you
I
go.
can throw them
You
on.
got
I
something
mean,
to fall back
he
on.
definitely has something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm never without a costume, but I haven't done like a new costume in a long time. And then coming up, let's see, that's not it. I'm going to give you in October, I got 2 events coming up. October 10th, it's a Friday night. I'll be in Indiana, Pennsylvania, doing a workshop for the Indiana, Pennsylvania Historical Society. And we're going to be talking about ghost hunting gadgets and doing demonstrations and stuff like that on why they don't work, which is going to be fun. And then the week after, October 18th, I'll be back in West Virginia for Daniel Reed's Skepticamp, because the West Virginia Skeptic Society is hosting their first annual, hopefully, Skepticamp, which is a one-day conference of several speakers that come in and do like half-hour or 45-minute talks. And then you figure out your hat size. Was I supposed to do that?
Yeah, he was supposed
Was
to
I?
do that. It was a while ago,
Oh,
too.
shit.
That big.
I do. I mean, I don't. Is there hat sizes?
There are hat sizes, yeah.
You probably have to measure it in inches.
All right, I'm gonna. I'll
We'll look it up. And we'll
I'll try. I'm gonna write it down.
He's a husband, too.
Hat size.
Hat size. What the fuck? Like, I didn't know there was. I didn't know
There's
there
hat
was
sizes.
hat sizes. Okay. All right. So yeah, I guess I'm. Do I measure inches? Is that what I do?
We'll look it up.
Let
I'm
me
sure
know.
we can look it up and just say, how do you measure your head for a hat?
How to measure for hat size. Wrap a tape measure
See?
string around your head where a hat would
I
sit.
say it's like from your eyebrow,
Where
like
hat
Just
this
a
above.
fun.
Yeah,
All right,
right
so
around-
like
yeah.
right around here. Okay. All right. So I'll insure it. Do we have a tape
Right
measure?
here, Cat Mac says
You have a tape measure around here? I
your
don't have-
dress shirt collar size is your hat size normally. He doesn't know what
What?
that is.
Yeah, I don't have a tape. I don't have a loose tape measure. So we'll have to.
I'll do it at
We'll
home.
get
I
some
have a
string.
soft
Okay.
one at home.
All
I
right.
know exactly where.
We'll figure it out. Measurements or actual size will work. Is there really hat sizes? Oh, yeah, there
Yeah,
is.
look,
Look at that.
look, yeah.
U.S. hat size.
Yeah,
Hat
Yeah.
size. 7. Oh, XL. Oh, shit.
that's why sometimes if you put a hat on
Yeah,
your
there's
head,
some of
it
that.
gives
They're
you a
actually come
headache.
at like 7
It's
and a half,
because
7
it's
and
the
3/4.
wrong size.
Seven.
Look at that shit.
They actually
Okay.
measure them out. Yeah.
The only, well, I mean, I'm used to wearing like ball caps that have the adjustable thing, and then
yeah,
the other hats, like the fedoras and stuff that I've worn.
they're different sizes.
Yeah, they're actually.
I don't know. I just put it on, and it's like, yeah, it stays
It
on.
fits.
Yeah, but some of them don't. That's why
Okay.
you try
All
them
right.
on.
That's cool. All right, I'll figure it out. I wrote it down in my notes, so this time, hopefully, I will remember. Sorry, Malachi.
We're gonna measure his head when we get out tonight.
Yeah.
Hey now.
One of us will remember.
All right. So yeah, with that, I think that's it for now, and we'll see you next week. Because next week, I gotta talk to Tim Vickers. Is it next week?
No.
No.
We won't.
You'll-
We're
you'll be
going to West Virginia.
Oh, we're
next
gonna
week.
be in Grafton, so there is no show next week.
No.
There's no show because I don't know if we're gonna have any kind of Wi-Fi or anything where we're gonna be. I don't think we're gonna. So there's gonna be no show. I'm gonna try and post some members only stuff, and then I'll do my walking thoughts for everyone on YouTube. So yeah. With that said, everyone have a great weekend. Have a good morning, good afternoon, good night, and we will see you next. Well, 2 weeks from now, right? Yeah, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Donna won't.
Nope.
But
I'll be gone.
there you go. You're good. Yeah,
I'm good.
You're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're good.
Thanks
Okay.
for a great show.
Thanks, everybody.
Ron.
No after party. Just give me a heads up. Being serious.
Yeah,
No after party.
nothing.
We're going home to get something to eat because I'm fucking hungry. Fat boy gotta
And
eat.
thirsty.
All right. So Never stop learning. See you later.
Bye, guys.
Hey, diddle diddle, here's a little riddle. Who's the best debunker? Is it Kenny Biddle? Oh, he's good, not just a little. Not at the bottom or even the middle. Strike a chord like a fiddle. Tasting the rainbow like a skittle. That's fragile and brittle. You can watch him take a problem and start to riddle the problem away. He does not play. He takes his job so seriously. He loves a challenge and won't turn you away. It's such a skeptic. He keeps stones. Believers are exposing the fake. It wouldn't take him long to find a needle in hay. Use a magnet, damn it. Now take a drink of Kenny's specialty. Someone may say that's not for me. To each their own, what really it will be. Man, Kenny's such a skeptic, drinking skeptical tea. Like and subscribe, everybody, turn notifications on. And go watch his show and forget about this song. Mr. Wizard or Bill Nye the Science Guy, can you remember? You'll like Kenny better, so head to the Skeptical Help Bar and meet the bartender. Pick up a drink and relax, cause nobody does this better. Not even close, not even a little. He's the one and only Kenny Biddle.